Alright, so we're gonna see if we can get this all working. Takes a minute or two here for everything to kick on. Alright, so we can hear myself. Yay! So, we're gonna be talking a little bit about Meme Copian. The man is amazing. I really honestly don't know how he does it. He can spend 3+ hours talking about Nicholas Regatta. Yeah, it's so I'm not really sure that we're gonna be able to quite listen to the whole thing. But there's some clips here, so we're gonna check out I think some of the clips that people have already made. Let's see here. Alyssa. Thought maybe Alyssa had some. Stalin, I know, has something. Stalin 9, dude. Let's check out what he has here. I gotta find it here. Where is it? Somebody has one here. Oh, here, I know how he spell his name. Because it showed up in my feed. And apparently, I don't know. TVs, well, here, maybe it was him. Okay, it was him. He has a 17-minute clip here.
Chance to do this. Yesterday we were talking, and you were going into some scientific detail about the test on your child that came back positive, and you were talking about some certain metabolite or something. Can you explain that to people? Just like a TLDR.
Yeah, a really.
So, it's like he. So, basically, Nicholas Regatta keeps going on the Onion. I'm subscribed to the Onion, but I can only take so much of the dude, and he's done some really creepy and gross things, and so I'm just involving Aaron Impult's daughters, and so I've just been kind of like, we don't need to watch, we don't need to be listening to him. But he's been going on this dude, his podcast, quite a bit.
Really brief thing. I'm going to put together a long either video or publication on this with all the citations to this because there is scientific backing to all of this. But
Nick's camera freezes throughout this because there's a thunderstorm going on or something. Now we did actually review this in I think maybe the last time, which was back in January, and Nick's citations were literally from a Quora question post from how could you get a false positive on a Coke test, and there's this very deranged doctor that responds. And we went through some of his old posts and stuff, and he talks about having like orgies in the hospital and
I I wish he would like put up a link to that because I would like to see that. Um, Nick just repeatedly he just stretches his credibility over and over and over again the more that he talks. And it's like, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Banging nurses and things. It's very, very strange. But this is his expert. So these scientific scholarly articles he's talking about is basically a Kuma doctor that he found that also did experiments. I believe they got something. It was like unethical use of coke in some sort of unauthorized study or something like that. It was something like that. I can't quite remember. It was quite an entertaining look into this doctor's past, though.
Metabolite that my daughter tested positive for is benzocognine or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's BZE is the abbreviation. If you look out there, there are studies that show that the studies on drugs are very limited because they're illegal. But there are studies that show that this metabolite will actually start to form outside of the body on skin in moist, warm conditions, such as on a scalp or in an armpit, something like that. So the metabolite will actually start to form. The next part of this is that when there's an external contaminant, when they get a sample, a hair sample, they wash to remove external contaminants. There's another study out there that has shown that that wash has the potential to actually force two specific substances, which are coke and benzocognine, into the hair follicle as if it came out, or into the hair as if it came out of the follicle naturally. You can look.
Now, this is, I think that when I was looking at the reports of this of what he was saying, it's almost impossible for them to reproduce this result.
Because it doesn't really make any sense. How do you reproduce something that doesn't make any sense?
This sounds like pure coke to me. That it's like he's marinating a chicken, and it's like the osmosis of the coke and the metabolites being sucked into the hair, even though the hair washing process is designed to get rid of the contaminant. I don't think I believe this, and this test is incredibly dubious.
These they have been shown, and this is calling into question the methodology of washing, because no one actually asks. Law enforcement does not want to make this accurate.
Someone who's not on coke at all, you could literally put coke on the hair, and in the washing process, it would infuse the hair with coke. That would seem to like discount all hair follicle tests for coke. If you could just frame someone like that.
No one uses hair follicle testing for coke in like the private sector. They don't use hair follicle testing.
Who cares if it's we're not talking about the private sector, we're talking about the public sector, specifically law enforcement. And if these tests are not used by them, why are they doing it on the kids and everyone? Like, it's just...
there is a law tuber that like really is big on questioning the accuracy of certain testing, even when you're trying to determine parentage. She even kind of questions that, and it's made me wonder, well, what evidence should be considered definitive slam dunk evidence that somebody is guilty? If they're constantly using that test and it can't be trusted, then how should anyone ever be able to be convicted at all? Like, I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. This just does not make sense at all.
For use, because mere exposure can show all sorts.
Fraternity test is the word I was trying to think of. Fraternity test is what she questions as being reliable.
Of it shows exposure. It doesn't show use at all.
So I've got a bit of background in terms of like building algorithms and things and skewing them towards certain.
Yeah, so this New Zealand guy, he's the mastermind behind the AI that talks in children's voices, and so that people can send in super chats and pretend that they're.
This is why I hardly listen to him anymore. I don't listen to him anymore because of this AI thing he's talking about.
Aaron's daughter saying sexualized things. That's the background and algorithms that he has. Just for your context, little New Zealand guy. I've got some background in the algorithms. I got my PhD in Timaru, and been working on that. Big supporter of the show. Thank you, Mr. Melton.
angle. So, for example, if you've got like
this is
this
what I was
algorithm
talking
or a
about.
process that's going to go.
The man is amazing with like the way that he thinks up things like that, and he is just it's funny. It's hilarious the way he can go on and on about nothing. It's just because this, I don't know how long, I don't know whether or not this segment with Nicholas Rekieta was actually like a 3 hour something, but he made it into a 3 hour something just with his commentary. But his commentary wasn't boring. It was pretty funny. And
go into the medical field. There's nothing that's going to be 100% that gives you a 100% result. So you have a choice when you're designing this to either skew towards a false positive or a false negative. Usually, if it's a non-invasive test, they will skew those towards false positives anyway, just to rule out anyone that absolutely doesn't have it. And then that's weird. If you test positive on that, that qualifies you to the next step, which is your actual test. It's like blowing into blowing your blood alcohol level.
Now, of course, there aren't. I don't think there's any test that's 100%, obviously, and some are more accurate than others. But if this co-test, and Nick's story, this is his cope, is that the girl went back into the house, the daughter, and I believe this was the 9-year-old, and I think it was actually her birthday, the same day as the raid. So the same day that the cops busted in his door while April and Kayla were up doing 9 a.m. shots of coke. Because the safe was unlocked. Like Nick's going to go on to say in one of these clips that he always takes his drug safe with him, the safe that he was saying he never had before. But it makes sense because he has to say it for legal reasons, right? This was their daughter's birthday. That they came barging down, their 9-year-old daughter's birthday. If the cops touched her hair and they had coke on their hands, surely they did not touch her entire head. Wouldn't they take the testing from the other source or other site of the hair testing? And if they did that, then they would have a positive test after the negative. They'd have a negative test after the positive test. If they had that, why doesn't Nick just say that? This doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I have a really big problem, and that Nick has never really addressed this. He only ever says that the government dropped their line of questioning. He never explains it. And
you never will.
These tests are allegedly valid for about 90 days after exposure. Nick had...
It's too hard for him to explain because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, he probably hasn't even thought this far ahead as to how he's going to explain it.
These children back at 77 days. So he still could have got his own test of his own volition at any time. And frankly, I think you would do that because you would want supporting evidence in your perhaps pending CPS case. But not only could Nick have done that, the children were always in the custody of his own family, the children's grandparents, Nick's parents. Is it Nick's parents? Yeah, I think it's Nick's parents. Maybe it's Kayla's parents. Either way, those grandparents could have got the test at any time. Wouldn't you, ask yourself, if you had a family member, like you're a grandmother or you're a grandfather, your child gets taken away by the government because of drug charges, and they say that one of your children tests positive for coke, you now have the children. Would you not go get your own test to verify this or to disprove this? I don't understand why Nick hasn't addressed this. All he just says is the government doesn't want to pursue this line of questioning. Then wouldn't you get it so that you could use it against the government to show that their tests are fallible? I don't know.
There's a lot of ways you can get false positive from that.
Unless they make it difficult on him to request testing on your kid when they're not in your custody, then that makes sense. I don't know how they work quite all of that out when they're in CPS. They would probably, at the minimum, they might have to go to the courts and say, we want the grandparents to take the kid to get a test, and we want to see if we can reproduce the results. I don't know that if you were in a situation where the grandparents didn't want to, I don't think you can force them to.
but it's a lot easier to blow into a little thing than it is to go and get your blood drawn, which gives you a much better result, but it's way more invasive. The cops would never set up a stall and be like, everyone who passes through, we need to draw your blood, right?
Yeah, it's breathalyzer field tests. The intoxilizer is rather accurate. The breathalyzer that they use at the station, which is a big machine. The field testing ones are subject to all sorts of issues,
like pickle juice and stuff,
or just temperature. They don't operate in the cold. In Minnesota, it's kind of a big problem. If you get pulled over and it's below 0 Fahrenheit, you should find out what model it is, because some of them, many of the breathalyzers that they use in the field are not accurate.
I don't know enough about this, so let's Google it. How well do breathalyzers work in cold? Let's breathalyzer work in cold. I'm Googling it here and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, so this I think is interesting. So says here, does cold weather affect an interlock device? Does cold weather affect a breathalyzer? We know the cold weather conditions can affect the function of a breathalyzer test. This could lead to your back appearing higher than it actually is. Furthermore, changes in breath condensation and taking cold medicine can also skew test results and lead to an unjust DUI arrest. Okay. Alright. So, I mean, I suppose that makes sense. I mean, it's an interesting hot weather can cause a false negative, with the machine failing to detect alcohol due to the lack of condensation. Huh. Interesting. Altitude and windy conditions can also affect the breathalyzer test. I don't know why. I don't know what the wind and altitude has to do with anything. In cold weather, breath can contain more condensation, which can be misinterpreted by the breathalyzer as alcohol, leading to a higher back reading than actual. That is so strange.
Accurate below 0 degrees. Some are rated to -20.
They're good to rule out people who absolutely don't screen, and then just because you test positive, that doesn't mean you're going to court, right?
Then you have to go get a further test. The most frustrating part of this is that the state never came after us. We never got to fight. We never got to test this stuff. I hired an expert.
No, they could have tested it themselves anytime. Their grandparents could have taken them for testing, or the parents could have taken them for testing after they received their kids back after the 77 days.
I mean, even if they there's probably some stuff that he could do now to try to try to prove those results were wrong. But let's check breathalyzer coldness rating. Because it cold rating. Breathalyzer cold rating chart. Show results. It seems like it has something to do with condensation and the lack of condensation. What I'm trying to figure out here is whether or not some are rated for certain temperatures. breathalyzer rated for cold weather. Many breathalyzers, including those in ignition interlock devices, are designed to function effectively in cold weather, often with features like internal heating units and quick warm-up times. So again, if that's in cold weather, condensation can form in the breath and be mistaken for alcohol by devices. That's interesting. So I know that it appears that the interlock devices that I think keep you from driving if you fail the, because it keeps the car from starting. Well, here's something. The FC10 Plus portable breath alcohol differs found in the LifeLock offers everything found in the LifeLock FC10 breathalyzer, plus pipeline protection, 100 test memory, and advanced lockout features to keep your results and settings safe. So I mean, I don't know. This might be. Glass operating temperature 32 degrees, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know. During subject testing, the visual breath graph gives real time as possible test manipulations to shy, long, or uncooperative subjects. The back graph provides the operator with an early indication of sensor intoxication level before the actual back is displayed. Huh. Interesting. I'm just trying to understand how the whole breathalyzer thing actually works. It's not something that I've ever had to really give much thought to because I have only, drunk like 10 times in my entire life. And I've never driven drunk. So, yeah.
I had to pay him for 2 hearings that the state ended up.
I mean, this is kind of a good point, though. He talks about he hires an expert at great expense. So the idea that maybe they were short on cash and they couldn't afford like private testing doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And Nick is actually these guys here. If you're unaware of them, they're pretty nasty guys. You can see some of the clips about Melton specifically on the Third World Aristocrat YouTube channel. So Nick is very busy to go down to see Hackermania. So this is Melton's show.
If this judge understood anything about who Melton is, he would not let him go to Hackermania. He wouldn't. I just don't understand how he thinks that would be a good idea, but maybe he's gonna judge it differently than what you or I do. I don't know.
Mania is on May 9th, and Nick specifically asked the court if he could go down and do this. And one of the reasons he says he should be able to go do this is because they can get drug testing pretty easily in Las Vegas. So Nick is prepared and understands what is involved in going and getting a private drug test. I mean, if he can test himself while he's in Hackermania, why couldn't he just test his children to make sure? And like, you just get that, right? Because either if you're like, because Nick, maybe Aaron did it. Oh no, maybe Aaron did it. So I got to go check. Oh no, she's clean. Okay, it's fine. Oh wait, it's clean. I can use this as a piece of evidence in my own trial. He just says the government never came after me, so we could never use that piece of argument. I don't see how that tracks. It only makes sense to Nick and the people that I guess get Nick on because they only want to use him to try and take shots at the toe. I don't know. No one's explained this why he couldn't do this, and
yeah, it's he doesn't understand that. I don't know if he appreciates that NLO is not his friend. I don't know if he gets it. I don't know if he understands it. Maybe he does.
I think it's a big hole in Nick's arguments.
Acquiescing on, we never got to actually fight on this issue, which means it sits out there, and we don't know. Like he
even admits it sits out there. So then get your own test and say, look, I've got this test. I've removed my daughter's name and her information. It's a it's a negative metabolite test on her hair. The government was wrong, or something. Like, I assumed when I saw those results, they're so unbelievable that I was like, this has to be Kayla's hair. This has to be April's hair. This is the only thing that makes sense to me. Is that the government mixed up the test samples because there's like everyone's got the same hair color. Maybe they they missed one. That's what makes sense to me. But then if that was the case, they would have a secondary follow-up test which would show that it was negative, but they don't. And Nick's is just like, well, I never even got a chance. No, you do have a chance. You have a chance, right? You could do it right now, actually. Be less valid, of course, since it's been so long. But you could still do it, and then you could still hold that up and say, look, I have a clean test for my child. And then Nick will say, well, these tests are so inaccurate. However, he got tested like hundreds of times over the last 9. I think it's 9 months, right? He's been tested. Well, maybe not. No, it would have been hundreds of times, yeah, because it's been like almost. Well, let's see. According to my audit report, the Coke stream happened 289 days ago, so we should have at least 100 tests. All of his tests came back negative, so all of the tests that test him are 100%. There's no failure rate. Any test on. Nick said this, not me. Nick said that these tests have a 1 in 5 failure rate. So on his kids, obviously it's 1 in 5, and lo and behold, he has 5 children. Fancy that. But whenever he's taking the test, no possible way this could happen. No possible way. He didn't even have a pickle juice or anything that day. Oh my goodness.
They just said we take it all back and gave your kids back. Is that what happened, or?
Yeah, they investigated us for months. They observed us with our kids. We had supervised visitation, then we had unsupervised visitation, but they would check in at any time. This went on for until it finally finished in November. We had a path to everything in August. It finally wrapped up in November, and it was a nice relief. But during the time, they were investigating. They were interviewing people. They did all sorts of medical tests on the kids. They did mental evaluations on the children. They talked to their teachers. They talked to the people at church. They tried to find any evidence that they could that these kids are mistreated. They couldn't corroborate anything. The whole hungry thing. Our house has more food in it than most people will buy in a year at any given moment, because the nanny did the shopping.
Doesn't help if you don't feed them though.
Like I did.
And you're a doomsday prepper.
There's always food in our house, and all of our kids can cook. Like, if there was something happened to us, our kids could actually live for quite a while.
If your kids can cook, how come Aaron had to microwave them SpaghettiOs?
He didn't have to microwave.
This is important here. I gotta text this to my family, and then I'm gonna show it to you guys. Pictures of my cat's little beans, because he won't stay off of my new computer, or not my new computer, my new printer / copier. We'll get a pic of his toe beans. Alright, now I'm gonna send it to you guys. He's playing with it. Oh, he's so funny. My cat is so funny. Have to send it to myself here, and then I can download it, and I can show my cat's toe beans. This is important stuff here, people. We gotta show the toe beans. Okay. Email it to myself. But Yahoo thinks I wanna. Tour of stuff. I don't want a tour of any. Oh my. He actually accidentally pressed the button. And now it's. Crazy cat. You leave it alone? Ugh. Well, I tried to send it to myself. What happened here? Yeah! Streaming is dynamic! Maverick! Get off of it! Jamie, Christmas! Okay, here's toe beans. There's his cute little toe beans. Ah! Aw, look at Joe. Look, he's got a little. You are about to get kicked out of my bedroom. Well, not kicked. Nudge. Picked up and gently laid on the ground. Because you won't leave anything alone. I have the most annoying cat in the universe, people. I really do.
SpaghettiOs, all you had to do was open the can.
Yeah.
Because she was 8 and she had trouble like with the little pop tab.
So she can cook it herself, but she can't because it's just the can. No, that means she can't cook for herself. If she can't open the can, she can't cook her own SpaghettiOs. And the fact that Aaron had to do that for her is embarrassing. So the kids can't feed themselves, obviously, because they went and got a help from an adult.
Leverage.
He's so
regardless of all of that, like the thing that seems wild to me is that if this was all leaked, like this wasn't a public document about the Coke positive test, but
right.
And so you'll never be able to defend it. But the thing,
unless you went and got your own clean Coke test that you could post, why didn't you do that? Why didn't your parents do that? You could have told them because they had visitation. They just say, look, this is really like this is outrageous. There's no way this could be true. All I want you to do is go to the private let's get a third party second opinion. Go get the daughter, or go get all the kids tested for coke use in their hair follicles. We'll get 5 clean tests, and then I can show this to everybody. I can show this to the government. I can show this to my friends. I can show this to my family, and I can show it to the internet if I so choose. Clean tests for all the kids. He doesn't have that. Why not? It's obviously not prohibitively expensive, because he's willing to do it himself so that he can go watch these guys in Las Vegas next 2 months from now.
To me, that indicates something's up with it, is that the courts basically, the authorities basically had a positive test for coke, all these issues of neglect, yet they let the children go back into that environment. So what that tells me is, like, if what is on there was credible or really cited a problem for them, then they pretty much had you dead to rights and could take the kids away if that was safer for them.
They did take the kids away for 77 days.
Mm-hmm.
The reality, look, this is going to be a sad reality, but even though CPS does take kids away from a lot of people, those kids often go back into the homes of abusers and drug addicts and irresponsible parents. It happens all the time. People talk, when you hear the name CPS, most people associate it with assholes and failures. Okay? So when people say, like, well, obviously they found nothing because we got the kids back. Literal meth addicts say the same thing. I don't know why anyone buys that argument. It's not convincing. If anything, it's a nothing, but it's also just not very reliable.
But they didn't.
They should have. If that was true, like if I knew someone was giving coke to a child, I would advocate immediately for that person to be removed and maybe killed. Like it's horrifying to me that people actually think that happened, because it's so crazy. One, why would you waste coke on a child? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, just think about it from the
outside. That's why it's because it doesn't make any sense. It would be a waste.
Never mind.
Addict mentality if you have to. But I do real quick. I do actually have footage of 2 officers who had just come into contact with touching that child's hair. That's on the body cam footage. It's not nefarious. It's not a conspiracy. It was a perfectly natural reaction. My daughter was about to leave with her grandparents. We had already been arrested and removed from the scene. None of us knew that this happened until we were able to review the body cam footage. But
maybe we see the body cam footage. You can edit out the faces. You can edit out. You just need to crop the image and show a picture of a gloved hand on top of a child's, head. You can remove everything else except the gloves on the hair. I mean, maybe he's busy at work making a.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, because he's been talking about doing it for months. He's been talking about this alleged incident for months, but has never indicated that he's actually going to let us see it. Because if we do, we'll probably see how disgusting his filthiest house was.
Big PowerPoint presentation about it. Who could say?
That my daughter was about to leave with her grandparents, and she had forgotten her iPad inside. So she ran inside the house, and there's 2 officers in the entryway. One was the deputy chief, I believe, who was kind of just overseeing the investigation. He was mostly standing outside the whole time. The other cop who's there had just come out of the bathroom that they moved the safe into, because they took it outside, cracked open the safe. They brought it back into our front.
I wish I had the clip of Nick coping about there being no safe in his house, because for the longest time he was like saying safe. I've never had a safe. What are you talking? Safe? Safe? No, I don't have a safe.
Front bathroom, not the bathroom where they found it. And they were pulling it all out. That cop, with his gloves, touches my daughter's hair on body cam right after coming out of that bathroom. Like, he did not take his gloves off. He didn't wash them. All of this is there. I have to put it all together because it's multiple body cams to see it, obviously. All
right. So don't they? So Nick's scientific expert that he paid, I guess, thousands of dollars to represent him, but never actually used the testimony because he never had the chance to, claims that moisture, like sweat or warm water, breaks down cocaine powder into the specific metabolite that was tested for, or that came back positive, and that the process of the warm hair and I guess transmutation from regular cocaine into these metabolites that the body usually produces, also at the same time infuses the hair. It sucks it in like you're marinating a chicken, right? Like the osmosis would be, I guess, the process. That's what Nick's claiming. However, this is very difficult to reproduce in the lab, if not impossible. And it's just the words of one very peculiar doctor from what we've seen.
Okay.
Janet, when's the last?
So that's kind of like the big thing about that.
Chance to do this. Yesterday we were talking, kind of and you were going
the highlights there. Supposedly, I believe that I've heard something, and this was something that actually Meme Copium was saying. And that's it. Nick is supposed to stream tomorrow. I don't know if that's something that he actually posted on locals. I don't believe he's got anything on Twitter about it. But you want to know who has not been able to stop talking about Animal outside?
You guys talking about Nick and Aaron? I actually have not seen that clip, them talking about each other. I've not. But let's be real. Nick and Aaron swapping like that. And both of them, I got no heat with them. I really don't. I know I like bring them up sometimes, only because it's funny and entertaining. And both of them can handle it. They get it much worse from other people. But
hey, Truth Scout.
And this is a shot. I'm not trying to take a shot at them. You guys,
cats are
they're swapping like that. That is gay.
Important.
Like there's gay. You're having group sex, essentially. That's gay. I mean, it's not gay like they're having sex with each other, but it's just. I'm not even saying they're gay guys. You know, I'm not even calling that. But it's just saying what they did. You know, it's kind of gay to have that. But I don't think they're gay. But now they're talking about all this stuff. That's kind of making it seem like they're pretty gay. But whatever. It is what it is. I think secret.
You know, it's very possible that Alex Stein might care more about the whole Nick Cata thing than like anybody else does. Because there was this one internet show thing that he went on that's kind of like a Big Brother type thing, and he kept bringing it up to anybody that would listen.
Secretly, they definitely hate each other, but in a parallel universe, like Nick and Aaron and April and Kayla, they could have all been friends. Like they live in Minnesota, they're on YouTube, they both podcast. Like in a perfect world, they would have been friends. They wouldn't have been having sex, and their friendship would have just been normal. But it got weird, and it complicated things. And now because of that, Nick and Aaron hate each other, rightfully so. I think it's rightfully so. And they kind of accidentally had gay group sex, which, you know, once again, it happened. They've stepped back from that. And now Aaron, they both went to their conversion therapy, and now Aaron's got a nice new girlfriend, and I think Nick is still happily married. So, you know, it's just dips and valleys, and there's ups and downs in life. And now I think they're coming out of that low valley. So, good for both of them.
The lesson here is that sex can ruin your friendship. You know, they could have just had a normal relationship, and they ruined it. So, and it's like, who can say just how long they're going to be happily married? You know, it's kind of one of those we'll see type things.
I do think they need to stop talking about each other in a sexual manner. It's getting really gay, but once again. Okay, look, I see Pre does not like it whenever I'm talking about Nick or Kate in them, because it really doesn't ever do me any good to bring up this subject. It is very toxic. But once again, I just say this. No heat. I wish
you're gonna do whatever going to.
I think Aaron is. I think Aaron will win his court case if Nick doesn't get Gino to testify. I think Aaron will win. So, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I think it's crazy how Aaron's not taking some sort of plea and he's going to court. And I think Aaron's on probation for some stuff, so, you know, it is what it is. Do you think Nick and Aaron will ever be able to kiss and make up? Is their love affair over? Can Nick or our wives hard to recover from such betrayal? And what is that, Fatty Caddy? You know, I do not think that they can ever be friends again. I mean, Aaron actually Aaron's the type of guy that would be friends.
I don't know. I don't know if I can ever see them being friends.
Like, Aaron and I are friendly. He's talked shit about me. I've talked shit about him, but that's why I respect Aaron. Because, like, he's not like an evil person. And I don't know Nick well enough. But I think if the two were going to make up and be friends, it would probably be Aaron. I just don't think that that's a possibility. Unless, like, Kayla or something was like, it's just somehow wants another night with the toe.
Nah.
Then Nick is probably a good husband, would probably set that up. But if that's not the case, then I don't know. I mean, unless Kayla's like, I need one more round with the toe. Maybe she could convince Nick they can mend the fences. And Aaron would probably come around. Aaron's a good enough, nice enough guy. And his life got flipped and turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute just to write down how it became the prince of a town called Bel Air. My point is,
I was going, oh my God. I had the exact thought as Alex
and April,
no.
Which I thought actually made a pretty good duo. I'm not even just saying that. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I kind of like their.
No. I don't want to be on the same wavelength as Alex Stein. That take a moment and sit right there and tell you how I became a cuckold in Minnesota.
Commentary, I kind of like their back and forth. Sometimes when they talk about stuff, I don't know. I thought April was actually pretty funny on the air sometimes. So they had kind of a good thing going. Looks like April just, was young and she started drinking and she started partying and she just kind of wanted to continue to do that. She doesn't have kids. She probably realized being a stepmom is, sounds fun, and it probably was fun for her. I'm sure she loved Aaron's kids, but at some point she's also like, these aren't my kids, they're your kids, Aaron. So she's gonna have a little resentment from that. And like I said, she probably loves kids. It's not like she hates kids or even being the stepmom, but those kids that she has to pick up and drop off, she has to dedicate a lot of her life to them just as a stepmom, and that's probably, it's probably not the most exciting and fun thing that April wants to do. So April started drinking and partying, and that seemed more fun, and I'm sure it is and was, than being a stepmom. And it caused their relationship to just.
Well, Nick had said that, as far as drugs go, Nick said that, drugs is fun. And that's why people do them. They're great.
Totally implode. And I don't think.
Probably more fun than
that,
Mom, I suppose.
In that sense, Aaron and April would have lasted a long time. So it's probably better that they just ended up breaking up sooner. Aaron knows the deal. And they can both move on. So in a way, even though it's terrible for Aaron in the short term, probably better for him in the long term. I think April in this whole thing really kind of screwed herself. Not that she can't really bounce back, but she's alienated herself from Aaron, which maybe she wanted that. So that's, to her, might not be a bad thing. But being the third wheel and part of a throuple is just, you're never going to win in that situation. I've watched enough Sister Wives episodes to know that even though in Sister Wives they'll marry multiple wives and there's still a hierarchy where the other wives get mad and a lot of them divorce and they have beef. It just don't work. It don't work. Y'all trying to have a bunch of sister wives. It wasn't going to work, April. Nick's going to be loyal to Kayla in the sense that maybe he's not intimately loyal, he'll do other stuff sexually, but he's going to be loyal to her emotionally and financially, and she was there first, so he has a longer history. She knows where more of the bodies are buried, I guess you would say, and she knows, she just has the upper hand, whatever, on April. So April, that you were never going to be able to kind of take that over. It didn't seem like Nick was willing to divorce her, and she obviously doesn't want to divorce him. If they're just letting him go to hedonism and get blasted by, the wait staff.
I'm surprised that Nick
So
will show up in Alex Stein's chat sometime. That would be hilarious if he showed up in Alex Stein's chat sometime.
You're just not going to break that marriage up. They got a strong marriage. I got to give it to Nick and Kayla. They do have a strong marriage, so good for them. And Aaron and April's marriage was not strong in a class. That's probably best for both of them. So that's my opinion on it. If they'll be friends again, no. But I think Aaron maybe would. And if it's possible, it'd be Kayla that has to convince Nick.
Okay.
I haven't been watching, and I don't want to start any fights, and I'm not interested in getting into it. But is Mercado doing the late night stream still?
He hasn't streamed in forever. I don't even know if he streams anymore. I don't even know what content he does. Nate, do you?
I think we're done with this.
You guys talking about Nick and
I know that Warski is back tonight. Wonder if they're on right now. Gonna play them while doing something else maybe. Let's go to X and let's see what time they're supposed to stream. This is because he likes to make these jokes because of how the comparisons between the two of them. Uh-oh. Well, wait a minute here. Let's check this out. The European Union has failed to reach a deal for Ukraine as an emergency means with no funding or rearmament for New York Post. What is that? This was so predictable. Let's see fed to the UK after being booted out of the White House by Trump, hoping the EU would bail them out. For towns, Europe is broke because of their self-created migrant crisis. Now Zelensky will come crawling back to Trump, who could have possibly seen this coming. People make such a big deal about him never wearing a suit. You want to know who else never wore a suit? I believe it was Steve Jobs. Let's find a picture of I think it's Steve Jobs. Excuse me. He for years was his primarily what he wore. He preferred to keep his look very, very simple. Here he's wearing jeans, but yeah, this was basically his uniform. This was basically the way he dressed. It had been, I think it was years that he was very rarely ever seen wearing much anything differently. Says like 1998, apparently. That was basically his uniform. He didn't wear a suit. I think he was kind of to the point where he was rich enough that it didn't matter. And that. But apparently, for whatever reason, we have a different standard for what we think Zelensky should say and do and wear. I don't know. I mean, I suppose if you're gonna go to the White House, I guess maybe you should dress up, maybe. Here's Steel Toe retweeted this. Amaranth, I think that's how you pronounce it. She got robbed. Matter feels like a dream with time moving slow. She's taking the weekend off to recharge at a pre-planned event.
Family members, offline friends. So that's really cool. It is a very, I guess, long story, so I can't go into the details today since we're still working on the investigation with the detectives and stuff, so I can't really reveal too much about it yet. I don't want to compromise any ongoing work, but there will be more stuff about it next week, for sure. But as you know, the public knowledge that I can share with you is that I was involved in a robbery and held at gunpoint at my house. Super scary. Yeah, it was probably the craziest shit that ever happened to me. And yeah, that was... Yeah, I want to tell you guys more about it, but I can't today for various detective reasons. So there'll be more stuff next week, where I plan to share like a more detailed timeline.
It's a little
I guess
about
insights, kind of like a.
There's been talk like she shot him, but there's been some descriptions saying that her husband was actually the one that shot them.
Hello, but so yeah, for now, if you have questions, I can't really discuss that in the chat. So if I ignore your questions, just know that I have to for now. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys understanding though. So thanks for the support. Like I got so many people immediately, like after it happened, people found out so fast. Like I was still in the I was still like in the
you tweeted it out when it was happening or right after it happened. And allegedly that's how your husband found out about it too. Yeah, people found out about it quickly because you tweeted it out while it was happening.
Ambulance when I had a bunch of people start texting me, so that's really cool. So thank you guys for that. But yeah, can't really talk about too much yet, but soon. I have been resting though, past few days, so I haven't really been streaming at all. And it's been weird. It's been a very surreal feeling. Like I still am trying to process what happened exactly. Like,
and I mean, I think I can understand that. That makes sense.
It kind of feels like a dream. But I'm lucky that I'm okay. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse for sure. So, I guess I'm kind of still in shock a bit. Like, I don't feel like I'm even here right now, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like one of those ongoing dreams. But, yeah. It's heavy stuff. I've been talking to my parents a lot, spending time with family. So. It's gonna take a while to sink in, I guess. But I do have a pre-planned appearance that I'm still committed to going to. It's a chance for me to take some time off and recharge anyways, so I'll be going to that this weekend. Yeah, so if I won't be here again until next week, when I can share more details with you guys. But yeah, I'm glad I'm okay too. Like, it could have been crazy bad. I mean, I could not be here, honestly. So, yeah, I don't know.
That'd be nice if it really made you rethink your life a little bit, but probably won't.
Yeah, I don't feel like it even happened. Like, it's still a very surreal feeling. I feel like I'm gonna wake up soon, but I don't know.
$4 shilling. So, well, we're not gonna watch both of those. But I mean, yeah, it would be a surreal. It would be a surreal feeling. But we were gonna see if what time PPP. I know PPP tweeted something about it. PPP returns knife will be grilled and felted, but only if we hit the goal. So we found a new outlet for Phil's gambling addiction. He'll be opening physical WWE card packs of sweaty men. What? What is this? Oh, so wait a minute. They're not going to be. I'm trying to figure out. Is he sharing? Okay, so this is DSP Reacts. Okay, it's not him. The show is actually on hiatus. Gosh. Okay. Well, I guess there is no keynote tonight. That's sad. What? I'm so confused. Okay. So it's a something related to Israel. So I guess there's involvement with Israel and Epstein. I don't know what the truth of all that is. A lot of people say that he was employed by Mossad. Maybe he was. I think that's what that issue is. So this isn't strange. Trump will hold bi-weekly cabinet sessions with Musk. It's interesting. Ooh. Scotland Yard refuses to block Slender Man attacker's release from psychiatric hospital. People are always like, bring back insane. We have psychiatric hospitals or insane asylums if you prefer. I'm assuming there's probably some kind of technical difference between insane asylums and a psychiatric hospital. But let's see what What's saying here? A Wisconsin judge on Thursday refused to block a psychiatric hospital from releasing a woman who stabbed her sixth-grade classmate to please a horror character called Slenderman more than a decade ago after prosecutors alleged she had been quietly reading gory novels and communing with a man who collects memorabilia for murderers. Morgan Geyser has spent the last 7 years at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute. Waukesha County Circuit Judge Michael Barn and Jerry ordered a release after State County has completed community supervision and housing plan. Barron was set to review the plan at February 28th hearing, but prosecutors never presented it to him, instead asking him at the hearing to revoke her release. Deputy District Attorney Abby Nicoli alleged during a follow-up hearing Thursday that Geyser, now 22, didn't tell her treatment team that she had been reading novels about murder and the sale of human organs on the black market. She also didn't inform the treatment team that she had been communicating with a man who collects murder memorabilia, allowing him to visit her and sending him artwork of a very violent nature. Nicoli told the judge. Geyser's attorney, Tony Cotton, countered that Geyser only reads books the facility makes available to her, and the hospital officials track all her communications. She told her treatment team about the books and communications when asked. He said, adding that she can't have violated condition release because conditions haven't been set. Burns said that the revocation request lacked substance and he didn't believe Geyser was trying to intentionally hide anything. I don't see the risk to the public, the judge said. Geyser and a friend and so alert Peyton Lautner to Waukesha Park after a sleepover in 2014. Geyser stabbed Lautner 19 times while Weir egged her on. They left Lautner for dead, but she crawled out of the woods and got help from a passing bicyclist. All three girls were 12 years old. Lautner barely survived her wounds. I think I was actually under the impression that she died. I didn't realize that she survived. Oh, wow. Geyser and Wire told investigators that they had captured her on the right to be Slenderman's servants, and Sir Slenderman didn't hurt them or their families. Geyser pleaded guilty for first-degree attempted homicide in 2015, but claimed wasn't responsible for her actions because she was mentally ill. Boren had her committed to the psychiatric hospital for 40 years in 2018. Jeez, 40 years is a long time. Geyser has asked the judge for conditional release 4 times since June 22. She withdrew her first 2 petitions. The judge denied her 3rd request in April 2024, finding that she was still a threat to the public. She filed her latest request in October. Well, I don't understand what has changed since October. She granted her 4th request in January after 3 psychologists testified that she has made progress improving her coping skills and emotional control and doesn't retreat into fantasies as often. One of the psychologists, Dr. Ken Robbins, warned that Geyser could become dangerous if she remains at Winnebago and loses hope. Prosecutors countered that Geyser couldn't be trusted, pointing to how she claimed during evaluations last year that she really attacked Louder as a way of escaping her abusive father rather than to please Slenderman. They implied she was lying and hopes increasing the odds she'd be released. But ultimately found that Geyser had bad device treatment at Winnebago, and to be truly humiliated, she had to rejoin society. Wire, I guess is how it's pronounced, pleaded guilty to being a party to attempted second-degree intentional homicide with a dangerous weapon. But like Geyser claimed she was responsible to do mental illness. She was committed 25 years in a mental hospital, was granted release in 2021 on condition that she lived with her father and wear a GPS monitor. So, wow. So that person has been out for 3 years already. Almost 4. Wow. Okay. Well, oh, it could be a good thing, chat. It could be a good thing. It's like you just don't know until it happens. But it's concerning to me that about some of the things prosecution is saying here. But, I mean, 40 years is a long time to be committed. Oh dear, more problems for Diddy. Let's see what here. Because I mean, to me, if you're saying 40 years, you're saying that person is not capable of being rehabilitated, and you have to wait until they're old enough that they probably are relatively harmless. I mean, think about it. She would have been around 50 years old by the time she got released. And she was gonna, but that's gonna be crazy because she would be released in society with no skills. Like what skills has she been learning while she's in there? Was she able to earn a degree? Is she gonna be able to get a job doing literally anything? Ugh. It's gonna be tough for her. It's gonna be tough for either of them on the outside. Federal prosecutors alleged Sean Diddy Combs forced an employee to engage in sex acts and threatened others with physical force and financial harm if they did not help him carry out a trafficking scheme that lasted 2 decades. An indictment unsealed Thursday says the additional allegations were included as new details in the racketeering conspiracy charge Diddy Combs is already facing. Possibly is not guilty to the conspiracy, the sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The amended federal indictment from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York does not include any new charges against Combs, who is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He is set to go to trial in May. I'm thinking that this is gonna be postponed. There's so much that keeps just popping up in this case. I anticipate it being postponed. Prosecutors have accused Combs and others of coercing at least 3 women to engage in sex acts with him, and at times with male prostitutes. The occasions where prosecutors say the women were often drugged and forced for days were known as freak-offs. Authorities allege Combs recorded some of the acts and controlled his victims by promising financial and career opportunities, as well as threats of violence and other harm. Prosecutors say Combs forced his employees to work long hours, often with little sleep. The employees, prosecutors alleged, believed they could lose their jobs if they did not comply with his demands and face additional threats of physical violence and reputational damage, according to the indictment. With respect to one employee, Combs used physical force, psychological harm, financial harm, and reputational harm, and/or threats of the same to cause employees to engage in sex acts with Combs. A statement to CNN, Combs' attorney Mark Agnifilo said his client vehemently denies accusations made by the SDNY. He looks forward to his day in court, when it will become clear that he has never forced anyone to engage in anything against their will. Many former employees stand by his side, prepared to attest to the dedication, hard work, and inspiration they experienced while helping build groundbreaking, award-winning businesses. Combs is fighting to get the prostitution charge dismissed and has asked the judge to suppress evidence during the search of his home, hotel room, and electronic devices. Prosecutors said they have recordings of freak-offs and found 3 AR-15s with the face serial numbers during a search, as well as more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants. Why would you have so many bottles of baby oil? 1,000! I could not possibly fit all of that into my apartment. That's just crazy. Since I'm not, I don't know, I'm not politically savvy enough about some of this stuff to really say too much about it. I can tell you that it's like, I hope I hope that he's doing, he's doing the right thing. And that I don't know, that he's not doing anything that is somehow going to backfire in any way. But I would think that them complaining about 20-year-olds doing this job. I don't understand why, if you're a 20-year-old, you would ever vote for any Democrat ever again. Because, like, seriously. Let's see what. So, what is something that we can watch and play a game at the same time? Let's see here. Teaching a dog coloring? What? The mystery dessert. What is this? Huh. I suppose we would watch the Eagles. I don't know. I don't really think there's anything all that interesting. What is Reuters broadcasting? Let's find out. Oh, there's a tropical cyclone. Oh.
Are you really the last person to find out about this Skip Ads Forever button? This is Pi, and if it sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen their ads everywhere.
So, and you'll get to see Clyde. You'll get to see our bubber boy. Aww. Well, just look at him. He's so cute. And you think he looks cute now? He was so pathetic before. He's like, thank you, fat man, for scratching my ear. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That felt good. Anyways, guys, welcome to the show. We are live tonight on, let's already talked about locals. We are live tonight on Twitter. We are live tonight on Rumble and here on YouTube, last but not least.
I tried to get
hope you guys are doing well. We got a lot to talk about. Had a fun time earlier tonight with Bob over on Defense Diaries. Hope you guys joined us over there. It was a great time. What the fuck is that? This is a dog. He goes woof. And every once in a while he'll go ow. We'll go. Ooh. He did it once already for you guys on camera. You got to catch it. Well, buddy, I'm gonna put you down. I'm gonna put you on the ground. Or are you gonna hang out for a minute?
That needs to get clipped. For sure. You howling like that.
So anyways, chat, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Hope you guys are having a great night. We're at episode 156 of this show, of this thing we've got. Luke says it's funny how you went to Bob. We didn't even talk about Delphi. We didn't have. I think we kind of ran short on time, but that'll probably come up again. We'll have time there. We're definitely gonna link back up.
Oh, Clyde is hanging out.
So, Luby She says it was fun. Yes. Sweet Tooth Fairy says, do not disparage Clyde. He could take it. He needs it.
Oh, never disparage Clyde. No.
It's all about the foam, Sean. Yes. Oh, let me see here. What are you guys all talking about? Catching up. Clyde is a Muppet. Yeah, at times he looks like a Muppet. But when we first got him and he was like sheared clean, he looked very, very pathetic. So it's a nice change. Is that good, Papa? Is that good? Yeah. So let's see here. What else we got guys talking about tonight? Does Drex respond to Clyde's text? Did we embarrass me? No, you did not. Popcorn Parts is my queen. Amaranth would never fake it. Well, I got some news for you guys. It looks a little sus to me. What we know now, it's like, yeah, it just ain't adding up. Ain't adding up, chat. Just ain't adding up. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Great to see you on Bob's YouTube. Yeah, well, Bob is great. Enjoyed it. So definitely want to do that again.
Womp.
When's 2.0's and Laney's Girl Power channel starting? Probably never. Probably never here. Get the cats on here. I'll send you an Ohio body cam about cats. It's sad. But the defendant literally name drops Mustache Man. Well, I mean, is it really that bad and sad if Mustache Man is referenced? Because, how can you really have a bad time when you're talking about that? The crime is as real as her OnlyFans. Yes, chat, remember. Her job and the way she made her millions was bilking young men out of money, faking relationships, and lying about being married. And then she lied about her domestic violence arc. So, just saying. But we'll get to that. James saying, I feel bad for Aaron since Nick locked him in the basement. It forced him to watch One Tree Hill. Yeah, well, that's. I'm sure it's been rough. All right, Clyde, I gotta sit you down, buddy, because it's time to get rolling here, okay? So you guys should go back to Clyde. You guys will see him later, but we got to get working on stuff. So, why is mentioning Tom Selleck such a no-no on YouTube? I know. You got to be careful which Mustache Man you're talking about. Hi, buddy. He's like, fat man, you put me down, and I'm like, I know I did. So we got mail call this week, chat. We got some mail.
Did you get any spiders? That's
came in the mail. Nobody sent a tag with it. I have not opened it yet. So we're gonna came in a bigger envelope. So I gotta see what this is. God damn, this is like. There we go. Okay. All right. So what is this? No notes. Guys, if you don't send notes, I can't say thank you. So, let's see. Okay. Somebody proposing to me. It's like an arranged marriage. Ooh, okay. It's like a Trump, it's like a Trump lapel pin or something. Very nice. Very nice. Let's see, what do they call it on here? What do the Indians or Chinese call it? Oh, a Trump head 1 inch by 1 inch pin, gold color. New item. All right. Well, there we go. Whoever got this, thank you. Thank you. I'll have to figure out a time to wear it. Gotta save it for the right event with the Emperor of Mankind. It's very cool. Very nicely done. I don't know if you guys could see it, but maybe. Wow. I don't know if it's pretty big for a tie pin. I don't think it's a tie tack. Wear it to court. I gotta be careful which judges I'd wear this in front of. Oh, buddy. I gotta be careful where I wear this. Like downtown Cleveland, that ain't happening. Other places, maybe I could do that. Yeah, it's a lapel pin. This is not a tie tack. This is too huge. Like if an elephant was wearing a tie, it'd have a tie tack this big. But no, it's a nice little setup. And oh, I didn't see this. It's got the presidential seal in there. Very nice. Very nice. I take it good since you got to pick your side. Okay, I do, but my clients don't need their sides picked for them by me. So you have to think about your clients at the end of the day. So that's why you got to be careful about that. And then from J-Rock, because I was opening boxes and I thought this was a box for 2.0. And I'm like, whatever is in here is super light. And I open it up. I'm like, okay, well, this is probably for me. From J-Rock is, surprise the model, but it's the Jagdpanzer.
I need 150.
Elephant. If you guys don't know what this is a Tiger chassis. This is a chassis. They put a tank. They put a large cannon on it, and it's a heavy tank destroyer. So that's its job, is long-range engagement of tanks with a big old cannon on it, or Kanonen, as they would say. And let me see. What is the other information on this bad boy? It's got yeah. The model does not feature the Zimmermitt. Oh, that sucks. So the Zimmermitt is all that stuff you can see on their chat that's all like wavy lined. That's an anti-magnetic coating, so limpet mines cannot be attached. Apparently that's not in here or part of the model, and you'd have to make it yourself. And we might try that. But now we can add to the pile of shame. The pile of shame has another thing. Is it made in Japan? Yes. It's a Tamiya. It's made in Japan. Japan.
Let's see.
So you can't add it. Yes, I can add it. Sean has iron cross under his arm fold. Thanks. Yes, the incredible Mr. Limpet Mind. Oh. Kathy says, how do you work all day and do this at night? Well, I mean, like I've kind of hung out a lot. There's some nights where I'm kind of like hanging out during the day, but it's, you pace yourself and you try to balance it out. And yeah. It's a task some days. Some days it's really fucking brutal, but today wasn't too bad. And also I didn't really have time, and I'm kind of like, I feel comfortable today, but there's other days where I'm like, I want to get out of this in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So it just depends on the day. But I appreciate it, Kathy. I hope you're doing well. And guys, remember, Kathy, you're a realtor in Jersey. Remember, New Jersey, not the British Channel Island of Jersey. There's probably not too many houses to sell there. Also, she'd be paying in pounds, not dollars. But anyways, guys, if you need a realtor in New Jersey, get a hold of Kathy. Or maybe Old Jersey, too. I mean, because of the New Jersey, that applies in Old Jersey. Okay, chat. All right, well, it's time to get going here. And we're going to start off covering the Trump SCOTUS updates. We covered this last night. There's actually a big update, chat, that's very important here. And we're going to start it off, though, with kind of the kind of start off with things that aren't exactly what we were hoping for, but I think there's an answer here in things that we're looking at. So the first thing we're going to get to, also over Joe Schmo, over in Rumble, saying hello from the Rumble side. Have you seen any clips of Nick on Cody's birthday stream? I turned it up as soon as he showed up. Guys, no. I mean, it's kind of played out. There's not a whole lot going on there. I mean, if he does something really stupid or he gets in trouble again, yeah, sure, there's something to cover, but not really a whole lot to it at this point. The guy hitting the skids. I mean, film at guy crawled into a bottle and snorted everything away. Film at 11.
Aww.
So, yeah, it's like there's so much more interesting stuff out there right now. So this is the Department of State, guys, versus the AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition. And you might be like, wasn't that kind of sus? There isn't an AIDS vaccine, but why do they call themselves that? Anyways, this is suing for like $2 billion in funding. If you guys were not aware. And the way it worked is on February 13th, there was a TRO, a temporary restraining order, enjoining the government from pausing the disbursements of foreign development assistance funds. On February 25th, the district court ordered the government to issue payments for a portion of the paused disbursements, those owed for work already completed before the issuance of the TRO by 11:59 on February 26th. Now, the thing was with this one, they were saying, like, anything at all that's been submitted, you have to pay right now. And the government's like, well, don't we get to check it? He said, no. Anything that's been submitted, you pay automatically. So at that point, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, entered an administrative stay shortly before the deadline, and this was referred to the court to take a look at. Now, what happened? Well, they took a lot of things here, and they said, ultimately, given the deadline has passed, and they say, and in light of the ongoing preliminary injunction proceedings, this is a big thing here. The district court should clarify what obligations the court must fulfill to ensure compliance. So this is their way of hinting to the lower courts. You should really make sure what's going on here because we see some problems with what you're doing. And they said in the meantime, though, the order by the Chief Justice hereby vacated. So this automatically goes back. So yes, if you were on the Trump train wanting this to turn out well, it didn't. We lost. In response to that, though, there was a scathing dissent by Justice Alito, Justice Thomas, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Kavanaugh. So already, Chad, if this had came by for certiorari, there's 4 votes. They'll get cert. Ultimately, what do they basically hint at? They hint that they would nuke this thing off the face of the earth. And the idea is at this point, there is probably this is going to come back and get challenged on jurisdictional grounds, and it's going to get nuked. So that's the good news. For right now, though, they're letting it play out. So that's the update there. We already went through all the other pages of this. It's a scathing dissent by Alito. I think it's pretty good. But the bigger thing yesterday that happened is in the Hampton Dellinger case. And if you guys don't remember who Hampton Dellinger is, we cover this. He is the guy who was hired as special counsel and appointed by Joe Biden, confirmed by the Senate. Remember, chat, the special counsel is in charge of protecting government employees, including military members, especially like whistleblowers when they do whistleblower things. And his job is to make sure that those laws are followed. And he's put in a position where he's supposed to, according to law, not be able to be removed except for a cause. And this is this is the first case that went up to the Supreme Court about 2 weeks ago. So the big update is, though, they initially got a restraining order after Trump fired him, where the judge said, "No, you're back on the case. You're back in your job." This was appealed up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, "We're not getting involved," and it went all the way back down to the trial court, the district court, the federal court. And the federal judge said, "Well, I'm making this a permanent injunction. You get to keep your job." Immediately, President Trump and his team appealed up to the District Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Remember, D.C. has its own circuit court. And this was done March 5th, so yesterday. And it's Hampton Dellinger versus Scott Bessent as his role as Treasury Secretary.
It's weird, but... Okay.
And this was by the 3 judges here, Henderson, Millett, and Walker. And they talk about all the issues here as far as the amicus briefs. We're not really worried about that, but they made an initial order as this case got appealed up to them. And they're going to talk about these amicus are allowed to do their briefs, which is great. But this part here isn't really relevant. You don't really have to worry about that part. The next order, though, it's further ordered. The emergency motion for a stay pending appeal be granted, and the district court's March 1st order be stayed pending further orders of the court, except to the extent that that order vacates the TRO entered by the district court on February 12, 2025. This order gives effect to the removal of the appellee from his position as special counsel of the U.S. Office of Special Counsel. So the entire thing they were fighting, the D.C. Circuit has said, yeah, that's bullshit. He's fucking fired. Now, isn't it funny? Because when Trump initially appealed this, the D.C. Circuit said, well, we can't do anything about it. And now that it's there as a permanent injunction, like, well, fuck it, he's fired. So Hampton Dellinger is gone. He's been fired, chat. That's the positive news right now. So he's gone. He's done. He's done. And they said that the government has satisfied the stringent requirements for a stay pending appeal. They do talk about the briefing schedule here. The appellant's brief is due by March 21st, the government's. Hampton Dellinger is due by April 4th, and then the government gets a reply by April 11th. And there has been no argument date set. And this is per curiam, meaning a unanimous decision. And they all agree. With that said, there's been an update, chat. And if you followed on my Twitter, you probably saw it. There's a statement by Hampton Dellinger. Huh. And guess what he says, chat? Guess what this motherfucker does? This fucking rat. Look at this shit.
Let's see.
I'm ending my legal battle, so my time as special counsel and the head of the Office of Special Counsel is now over. That's right, chat. Going through all of this, he got BTFO'd right off the bat on appeal, and he's like, yeah, fuck it, I quit. Wow, it's like this was all a scam, huh? Remember what I said. They are the judicial crisis. Hampton Dellinger was the coup. He was the coup. This was all orchestrated to cause problems. And he did it. And he accomplished his task, and now he bows out. This was never about anything other than fucking with the president. This was never about anything other than hamstringing and hobbling the Trump administration. What a motherfucker. He says, my fight to stay on the job was not for me, but rather the ideal that OSC should be as Congress intended. An independent watchdog and a safe, trustworthy place for whistleblowers to report wrongdoing and be protected from retaliation. I will now look to make a difference as an attorney, a North Carolinian, and an American in other ways. Yes. By making sure you don't get Humphrey's executor blown out of the water and that the Supreme Court said that your removal was lawful. You're quitting because you're a bitch. And because this is what you were paid to do. You were paid to cause the problem. What a pussy. What a big old floppy pussy. He says, I'm stopping my fight because yesterday circuit court judges reviewing the trial court decision in my favor granted the government's request I be removed from office while the case continues. The ruling means the OSC will be run by someone totally beholden to the president for the months that would pass before I could get a final decision from SCOTUS. SCOTUS was going to nuke your boots off, brother. You were not going to get any love. You think Alito, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Thomas were going to show you love? You wouldn't get that love. You probably get a 6-3, maybe even a 7-2 decision against you.
Yeah.
Suffer, Hampton Dellinger. Suffer. Anyways, I think the circuit court judges erred badly because of their willingness to sign off on my ouster, even if presented as a possible temporary, immediately erases the independence of Congress provided for my position. A vital protection has been unlawfully accepted for nearly 50 years. Yeah, but a lot of presidents have not liked it. Until now, and given the circuit court's adverse ruling, I think my odds of ultimately paying for the court are long. Yes, you chickening out. Meanwhile, the harm to the agency and those who rely on it caused by a special counsel was not independent, could be immediate, grievous, and I fear uncorrectable. Well, if it's so bad and you're quitting, that means you're an even bigger piece of shit. If you thought it was so bad and you quit, what does that make you? That makes you a fucking coward. It makes you a fucking coward. If it was that bad, you should be there fighting. I disagree with the court's decision, but I accept and will abide by it. Well, no, you don't want to get BTFO'd any worse. That's what Americans do. Well, no, Americans don't file bullshit lawsuits and then run away. That's what Americans do. Americans don't abuse the court system. I am proud of what OSC accomplished while I was with the agency, particularly what we did to support government whistleblowers and military veterans. Yes, and then you undermined Article 2 of the Constitution. Too bad you weren't JDAM, sir. Where was DevGru executing an order on you? Green light. I am grateful to my OSC colleagues. I know firsthand how hard you work, how talented you are, and how devastating it is that the agency's independence destroyed. I am grateful to my legal team and all supported my lawsuit, particularly advocates of whistleblowers and government accountability. Well, are you really? Because if they're advocates for all this, you left them in the lurch. Unless they're all okay with this because it was all a scam and you guys were all in on it together. And I'm just saying. He says that above all, I am grateful to federal employees. This is fucking ridiculous. Yes, you federal government bureaucrats, you are the real heroes. You're the real heroes out there defending America. I'm grateful to federal employees. You deserve better, much better, than your recent unfair and unlawful treatment from too many parts of the United States government. Suffer, feds! Suffer! No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. What? Coat, mold, seed, dilate. You know, just run along. I should be able to equip this. In 2023, when a White House official asked if I was up for heading OSC, I posed one question before saying yes. You know I can't and won't swallow my whistle, right? Well, I'm sure you swallow a lot of things. And he says, my point was that I was going to follow and enforce the rules like an honest referee would, even if some might perceive it as against the interests of certain individuals, including the president. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you're a real company man, helping Hunter cover up all the fucking drug dealing and human trafficking. I'm sure you're a real top G. To the Biden administration's credit, no one ever interfered with my work. Never. Which means it happened. Even when some disagree with it, I'm sure it happened. Today would have marked my 1-year anniversary as head of the Office of Special Counsel. Oh, no. You're on your anniversary. You take the knee. You take the knee on your anniversary, brother. What a coward. What a coward. For the rest of my life, I will regret that I could not make it to the milestone. I tried. Well, you're giving up the fight here, homie. You're tapping out. You're tapping out. Because you can't do it.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh. Well, I've given up on continuing to serve as special counsel because you're a bitch. I retain my underlying belief in the rule of law in America. Do you really? Because you engaged in the subversion of Article 2 of the Constitution. Do you really think you were acting under the rule of law? And the promise of our indispensable nation. I trust that as long as we cherish these vital precepts, they will exist. What a fucking turd. What a fucking turd, chat. Another fucking turd going down the bowl. Yeah, I went at the king and missed.
Oh, this is interesting. I might like those pants better. I don't know.
If we're lucky in 3 months, nobody will remember his name. Yeah, and here's the thing. I thought we were going to get that. Like, I thought this was the case going all the way. I think I wonder, like, if they're going to just start taking the knee like this, all this lawfare is just going to just get flushed down the toilet very quickly.
Oh, no, that goes...
They just, they wanted to obstruct Trump, and I get that, but I'm just surprised at how quick they're giving up. It's like such a bitch-made move. Such a bitch-made move.
So
you wouldn't think they'd do it like this, but this is what they do. This is what they do. This is what they do. I'm just really...
I don't know. Damage.
I'm just really disappointed. I'm really disappointed in this.
Well, I don't know. They don't quite understand what all accuracy is 83%.
You just like, what the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on?
I guess maybe I like those numbers better.
He hopefully doesn't escape man's justice. He probably will, though. He probably will, and that's the sad part. That's the sad part. He probably will. All right. Well, chat, on that black pill, we're going to move on from here. Birthright is going to the top. Of course it is. Yeah, they want no precedent at all. I know. They just want to obstruct. But I'm hoping something gets all the way to the top and there's a smackdown. So, maybe a shark will eat him on vacation. Maybe. God willing. God willing. Nico's been a member for 16 months. He says, Sandwich Squad, assemble. Jefferson Post says, Meme did a new video on Nick if people want to see it. Yeah, I saw a meme was airing that this morning, kind of going through everything. Stabby, Mika Stabwood, member for 21 months. Thank you so much for your support, man. Says he admitted having 2 ounces of coke, not in evidence. Yeah, I heard that allegation. It's like, well, remember, his brain's fried, so who really knows what's going on? 2 ounces of coke's a lot. That's like another 50 grams. And yes, Jefferson Post is right. Hampton's tapping out to avoid Supreme Court precedent getting set. Yep, that's why he tapped out. He tapped because he's a biatch. A B-I-itch. So. Just, yeah.
Let's get some...
Anyway, guys, we are going to move on from here. Timbity saying the SCOTUS will not hear a moot case. Yeah, this case is done. Like, he gave up, so it dies. It gave up, so it dies. Now, moving on, chat, we are moving on here to Andrew Tate. If you guys haven't heard about this, Andrew Tate is back in the state of Florida, and the Florida Attorney General has noticed they are going to go after Andrew Tate and investigate him to see if they can prosecute him for any sex offense or any crimes if from what he's done from his time in Romania. Because remember, chat, there are federal crimes for American citizens if they go commit sex crimes overseas. In particular, these were passed because people were going to Thailand and other places and, raping little kids. You're not allowed to do that. Well, America set up jurisdiction that if you're a U.S. citizen, you engage in that kind of activity, you can be prosecuted for it here back at home. And it does happen. It doesn't happen as much as it used to because for a while it was happening and nobody really was able to, nobody's really able to do anything, but it was an issue of the parties involved were like not aware that it was a law. And they were just like, ooh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. Now, what's going on here? Well, what's going on here is the Florida Attorney General has said that they're going to look over this and they're going to investigate him. And Andrew Tate has said he's going to live in Florida despite everything that's going on. And he says, despite the hee-haw, his return is kicked up. He's going to stay here. He says, I'm going to live in America because I've done nothing wrong. I've got an American passport. And he's been going on and on and on about everything. And, there's the allegations of him. This is Andrew Tate, the toppest of the G's. Although, is he really the top? He strikes more of like the bottomest of the G's. And then his brother, Tristan Tate, both have the obnoxious accent. Well, he's got a British accent. I don't know what the hell he's got. It's just really bad. So they
where should we go?
They are being warned by the Florida government. They are looking into it. And they are seeking search warrants and subpoenas as part of an active investigation against them. And Andrew Tate has dared them to arrest him. Now, he gave an interview to Candace Owens, and probably, I know he's a tard, and yeah, he pretty much is a retard. So here's his interview with Candace Owens. Once again, Chad, as an attorney, I will not tell you to do this. This is not a good idea. This is just general advice. But yeah, here we go. This is not how you want to address things on a when you're dealing with the government.
Arrest me, perp walk me, put me on the news, tell everyone I'm a human trafficker. You think I'm not versed? You think I'm not ready? I'm a Navy SEAL in this shit. Fucking come get me, raid my house, take my stuff. You think I sleep with a full phone full of evidence? You think I don't wipe my phone every night? You think I'm dumb? Come get me, arrest me. Let's do this all over again. Come get me.
You really shouldn't say I wipe my phone every night, because I get the idea you're saying I don't have anything anyway, and if you come look, you won't find anything. But how does that look to regular people? That is not the smartest fucking thing in the world.
No.
I'm just saying, chat. I'm just saying. It's just a little bit there. Just a little bit there. You know, not incriminating. It doesn't have to be necessarily truly incriminating, but you just don't fucking set yourself up. Don't set yourself up, chat. Like, that's just basic advice. And we've got here LPR, Tyler Yankee from the Libertarian Podcast Review, the best podcast review of libertarians for libertarians, and the best of all the libertarian podcast reviews out there. Guys, normally on Friday nights. I don't know if he's up this week for anything, but if he is, say hello to him. He'll be out there. Is he cross-eyed? No, he's just retarded. Just don't, like, yeah, wiping your phone every night, that's a lot of work, too. Yes. But as somebody said here, where is it? I just saw it already, and he wipes it with a cloth. Yeah. He's not that smart. Where is it? Somebody just say yes. Just two feds hanging out. Yes. Very true. Two feds hanging out. Totally makes sense there. But yeah, guys, don't do what he's doing. That's a pretty retarded way of governing yourself. I just don't recommend it. It's just not going to end well. I really don't think it will end well. You should just, don't do it that way. Just, yeah. So, like I said, just don't. There are some good memes here, though. It's just, Andrew Tate is innocent, bro. He's been framed by the haters who hate his message of manliness, bro. Please stop accusing him of things. He is so virtuous and godlike, bro. All that damning evidence was produced by the Matrix. It's so fake, bro. Please. And then I did like this one too. This is a map of DeSantis, I think, when he ran, but this is a map of DeSantis if they execute Andrew Tate for being a pedophile. It's like how well he win Florida by over 50%, mainly. Oh, pretty funny, chat. Pretty funny. But yeah, just don't do what he does. So, what happened to Candace? She hangs out with Tate and married a wimp? Yeah, Candace Owens has lost her fucking mind. She's been crazy for a while. Now. He should have Hillary bleach it too. Oh yeah. Yes. Diane says he has a burner phone, really? Yeah, I bet he does. If I was in this situation, I had multiple phones too. I'd have multiple phones too. It just makes sense. Just makes sense, chat. All right, now. Oh, going on from there, chat. We have some updates on things that have gone on involving the chairman of World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes, you know him. You know him as the chairman. You also know him as Mr. McMahon. You also know him as Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the chairman. Yes! Famous for crapping in the hair of one of his subordinates as part of a massive sex pest allegations and lawsuit that was filed against him.
I guess I can't go that way at all. Weird.
Yes, that Vince McMahon. And this goes back, chat, to his case that has been pending. We read the lawsuit. We read the complaint filed between him and Janelle. You guys remember that? Yes, Janelle, come here. Let me crap in your hair, or you're fired. It was really a fun time. I remember we did that. We read all the text in Vince McMahon voice where he wants, he would just, yes, Janelle, I want you to get fucked by big black cocks. He really did say this, if you guys don't remember. So Vince McMahon, the former chairman of the WWE and Titan Entertainment, had to step down because basically he's a sex pest. And he sexually harassed the shit out of a lady. Now, she claims it was human trafficking and she was, like, raped and taken advantage of. Although it's really weird because she's, like, the first human trafficking victim in history to be like, so will I get the promotion now? And she sued because she didn't get her promotion as part of the lawsuit. You're like, what? What? So it's kind of going on there as things go. There hasn't been a whole lot to it that's been set yet. In December, Vince and his legal team filed to have the case sent to arbitration, which it sounds like there's pretty much a binding arbitration case out there. It's really funny though, and we'll go back through it at some point. And I'm going to look to make sure there's no new updates.
To your storage just can be.
But from there, part of what Vince did is when you are in an organization like that, you have filing requirements. And one of those big requirements is to your shareholders. And there's an organization that's in charge of doing all that stuff. And it's the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And their filing is very serious. It is very, very serious, chat. Hold on here. Yes. These are all fake allegations from Eric Bischoff as part of the New World Order. Yes, that's it, chat. This is the best. Scott Hall saved this. He wrote this from beyond the grave. So these shareholders have the right to know what's going on. Investors have the right to know what's going on. They have the right to know any of the legal issues surrounding the WWE. They also have the right to know about earnings reports because the WWE makes payments and all those things. That affects their earnings because there's millions of dollars at stake. So what happened? Well, the SEC went after Vince McMahon and he had to settle because of the hush money agreements. Now, we're going to go through what the SEC actually did here in a second because it is interesting. But you have to disclose the payments you made because he used company money for it. And there he is, the chairman. Yes. And chat, I will say, we had so much fun with that. And if you guys remember Jeff, Legal Vices, it was a hilarious time with Jeff. We were just rolling. I lost my voice towards the end. But that was probably that's probably some of the most fun I had on a stream ever was that night. It was so, so good.
Let's see.
Yes, by shareholders, I mean Vanguard and BlackRock. Okay, well. So anyways, this is explaining what happened here. And the Securities and Exchange Commission said that Vince McMahon will have to pay more than $1.7 million in relationship to the charges. He failed to disclose payment agreements. And here's the big issue. He circumvented WWE's internal accounting controls and caused material misstatements to their financial statements. And that's where it becomes an issue. So Vince McMahon has agreed to pay without settlement, that he'll pay a $400,000 civil penalty and reimburse the WWE for $1.3 million.
Okay.
And here's the big thing, chat. You can't enter into material agreements on behalf of the company and withhold that information from the control functions and auditors. That's how they do this.
Well, we're gonna store this away for
Now,
then.
Vince McMahon entered a heated agreement. He says, the case is... Why is it doing that? He says, the case is closed. Today ends the nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. It's like he's looking at Stone Cold is about to beat him. It's like, there's been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating, what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading. I don't really think it was. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors to the tune of $1.3 million with regard to some personal payments that I made several years ago while I was a CEO. I'm thrilled I can put it now behind me. Now, here's the thing, chat. They're still doing a criminal investigation into Vince McMahon regarding a civil case. So, yeah. Well, the actual action from the SEC is here. And this is how these things are handled. You have obligations to your shareholders that have to be met. You can't screw around with them. It's a very serious matter. People have gone to prison for this kind of stuff. But this is an administrative hearing. Notice this looks like a court document, but it's before in the United States of America before the Securities and Exchange Commission. So this is a regulatory agency doing a regulatory action. This is an administrative proceeding. This is not an Article 3 court. This is done by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay? So it's an administrative proceeding, and this is an order instituting cease and desist proceedings pursuant to Section 21 of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, making findings and imposing a cease and desist order. And it says the SEC commission. Remember, chat, the SEC is run by a commission. Not by one person, by a commission. They deem it appropriate that cease and desist proceedings are entered against Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And they say, in anticipation of these proceedings, a respondent has submitted an offer of settlement. And this is the way you address these things. You start kissing ass, which the commission has determined to accept. They don't have to. They say solely for the purpose of these proceedings and any other proceedings brought on by behalf of the commission, or to which the commission is party, without admitting or denying the findings herein, is accept to the jurisdiction over him and the subject matter of these proceedings. So he's not admitting fault. He's only acknowledging the SEC has authority to initiate this action. You're like, is this kind of like pleading no contest? Kind of. Except they accept him at his word that he has no wrongdoing. And they say these proceedings which are admitted, and he consents to the order in the cease and desist proceedings as set forth and below. And these findings are from the commission, and they say that these concern violations of federal securities law by Vince McMahon, the founder and controlling shareholder, and former executive of World Wrestling Entertainment. They say from 2018 to 2022, he failed to disclose 2 agreements with individuals, one of whom had accused him of unlawful conduct. One of the individuals was an employee of WWE, the other formerly under contract with WWE. These agreements were negotiated and signed by Vince individually and by McMahon on behalf of WWE. In addition to obligating McMahon to pay the individual certain amounts, the agreements included provisions releasing both Vince and the WWE from liability for claims based on the conduct. And they say, although the WWE was a party, Vince failed to disclose the agreements to the board of directors. And this is where all those issues come in, chat. Reporting requirements are no joke. The legal department, accountants, financial reporting personnel, and the auditor. And this is what you have in a properly run corporation. You have all this stuff going on. Brian saying that's Sable and Playboy. Well, one of them is the Janelle lady, and one of them's yeah. So yeah, there's some skimming too, possibly. Now, they talk about all the things he has to do here. As a result, the accounts and auditors could not evaluate how to account for these transactions, and nobody could evaluate the disclosure implications or risks to the company of the agreements. This is a very big, important thing here, chat. This is why the SEC gets involved, because nobody knows about the disclosure implications or the potential risk to the company. And that's something people have a right to know if they're investors and stockholders. They have obligations of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And they say Vince's failure to disclose the agreements caused material misstatements in their annual reports and certain quarterly reports. And because the payments required by the 2019 agreement were not recorded, even though the amounts were paid or were to be paid by McMahon, the WWE overstated its net income by approximately 8% for the year and approximately 22% for the fourth quarter of 2018. That's a pretty big fucking deal. Your earnings reports are off. Similarly, because the payments required by the 2022 agreement were not recorded, WWE overstated its 2021 net income and the net income for the fourth quarter of 2021 by 1.7 and 4.9%. It's a lot of percents. And it says, in addition, these agreements should have been disclosed as related party transactions. The subsequent payments were also not reflected in the books and records of the company. Yeah, you can't do that. Like, the people have a right to know. As a result of this conduct, he violated multiple sections of the Securities Act, Section 13B5, and the other rules, 13B2-1, and all these other ones they're under. In addition, he caused the WWE's violations of multiple sections of the Exchange Act. So not only him, but WWE committed violations because he caused them. He also, and here's the problems for Vince, he received incentive-based compensation and realized profits from the sale of WWE common stock during the 12-month period following the filing of financial statements. Vince has not fully reimbursed WWE or its successor an interest for these profits and incentive-based compensation, and therefore he violated the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. Now, here's the problem. Because WWE could say, look, our numbers are up, that meant the stock price goes up, and he could sell stock. So guess what? He's making money off these statements that he helped cook. So that's why he's in trouble.
Woo-hoo.
Now it talks about the chairman. He's 78. He's a resident of Stamford, Connecticut. Vince founded WWE and serves as executive chairman and CEO until he stepped down in June 2022. In January 2023, he returned as the executive chairman and spearheaded its merger with the Endeavor Group Holdings and Zuffa LLC, the parent company of the Ultimate Fighting, what do they call it, competition? The Ultimate Fighting Championship. Anyways, UFC. So in September 23, becoming the executive chairman of the newly formed entity TKO Holdings Group. And in January 2024, Vince resigned from the group. During the relevant period, Vince was the controlling shareholder, holding approximately 80% of the voting stock as of July of 2022. And that is very true, chat. He was the controlling shareholder. He has a ton of fucking WWE stock. Now we talk about the related entities. WWE is a Delaware corporation. It merged with Endeavor and Zuffa to create TKO Group. And it's a publicly, an SEC publicly registered company with common stock trading on the NYSE under the ticker TKO. And that's the thing. If you're private, like, there are different rules. But he didn't own the whole company. There are shareholders. And it says prior to 2023, WWE had securities registered with the commission pursuant to Section 12. And its common stock traded on the NYSE under WWE. And yes, they did. You could have WWE stock for a long time. Vince, the founder and controlling shareholder, served as the CEO for nearly 40 years until his first resignation in 2022. And it talks about the two agreements. They obligated Vince to pay any amounts owed. He signed the agreements on his own behalf and the WWE's behalf. So, and it says in November 2018, an attorney representing Vince and the WWE, and that becomes a conflict of interest issue there for that attorney, because who is he representing? Vince or the WWE? What if their interests don't match? He shouldn't have been involved in this. There should have been another. Yeah, it's not a good look. Anyways, Vince's attorney was contacted by the attorney for a former independent contractor, which means a wrestler, who alleged other things that in 2005 Vince assaulted her and derailed her career after she refused in sexual relationships with him. From what I understand, chat, that appears to be Sable. You guys remember her? She is the one accused. From what I understand, that is that's the whole thing. From what I can tell, it was China. Oh, it was China, not Sable? No, not her. That'd be impossible because fucking Chris Benoit killed her. Like, so how could she do it? How could she, like, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Well, not Chris Benoit killed her, but she died in 2016. I'm pretty sure it was Sable. Am I wrong, chat? China was engaged to Triple H. Well, yeah, then Steph, yeah. Sable left her husband, got harassed by Vince, reached a settlement, and they married Brock Lesnar. Yeah. That's what I mean. Thank you, Keopathic. I was right. It was Sable. So, yeah, China's been dead for like almost 10 years, man. So, yeah. Yeah, and Benoit killed his wife, yeah. So. No, it's not Tammy Sitch. Tammy Sitch is in prison for killing people. Anyways, we're going to get back to the SEC looking at this, chat. So you guys understand, this is very serious stuff. It's very serious stuff here. Anyways, the individual and Sable's attorney sent Vince a demand letter outlining her allegations, seeking $18 million to resolve the claims. From November to February, in connection with those claims, Vince's attorney billed his firm billed WWE more than $23,000 for approximately 29 hours of work on the matter. God damn, I wish I could do that, chat. I wish I had that kind of billing set up.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
On February 13th, the party in 2019, the parties agreed to a confidential settlement agreement whereby Vince agreed to pay Sable $7.5 million over 5 years. And Sable gave up her right to sue Vince and WWE, not disclose it, and not tell anybody about the payment terms. Vince signed on behalf of himself and the WWE. From 2019 to 2022, Vince engaged in a relationship with an employee, Janelle Grant. That's the woman he shit in her hair. He told individual B she should resign. On January 28th, she signed a settlement agreement in which Vince agreed to pay her $3 million over 5 years if she agreed not to disclose anything. And Vince signed as himself and the WWE. He signed his own behalf and for the WWE. Vince paid her $1 million, then stiffed her on the rest, like a true G. He failed to disclose the settlement agreements to the legal and accounting departments. And these were not accorded anywhere, and no one had knowledge of them. And by not disclosing them, he circumvented the internal accounting records. And as part of the practice of their analyzing things, the legal department reviewed and analyzed contracts between the WWE and other parties. The legal department also sent those contracts to the financial reporting group to determine the accounting treatment regarding their financial processing. And it says, in addition, the WWE had documented an internal control, which had been in practice for many years, that its legal department provide a summary of all potential legal contingencies to the accounting and financial groups. During the relevant period, the summary of legal contingencies was also provided to the board and the auditor on a quarterly basis. They also had a code of business conduct that stated in the section on record keeping, WWE personnel are required to record and report all information accurately and honestly. No undisclosed or unrecorded fund, asset, or liability of the company shall be established for any purposes. No establishing slush funds, chat. You're not allowed to do it. Yeah, Chris Benoit did not kill China. I know. I keep forgetting that he wasn't married to her. The funny thing is, Brock Lesnar was involved with the second woman. So, Yeah. So, but yes, for you wrestling fans out there, I'm kind of like brain farting right now, so my apologies there. And it says, in addition, each year WWE required all its officers and directors to complete a questionnaire for directors nominees for director and executive officers to collect information in preparing WWE's proxy statements and SEC annual filings. To ensure annual transactions were disclosed, the D&O questionnaire asked if there had been any transaction or arrangement relationship in which the total amount did or exceeded $120,000 to which the company or any subsidiary is a participant, in which you or your immediate family or any of your associates had any direct or indirect material interest. Now, chat, the reason why they ask this all these different ways, there's reporting, there's a code of conduct, the business code, then there are these questionnaires. It's so they can show that they're compliant and that when Vince does something like this, the WWE can say, look, we tried to do our best and he fucked around. But it's that way they can show it because eventually they're hoping they can catch these things. And Vince inaccurately answered no, which means he fucking lied on both his 2019 and 2022 questionnaires. Because he did not disclose these payments, the WWE and its auditor were not able to access or advise the disclosures. And in connection with their 2018 Form 10K, which is for investors, disclosures, Vince executed management representation letters to the auditor in connection with the financial statements. And guys, they have auditors on their payroll. That's an actual position. That's a person to make sure everything's being done right. And Vince signed off on all of it. And at the time he signed the management representation letter in 2019, he knew the individual agreement would require him to pay $7.5 million. And Vince knew or was reckless in not knowing that these releases had not been evaluated by the legal and accounting and financial groups. And similarly, it was the same thing. He knew or should have known or was reckless in knowing that these related payments had not been evaluated by WWE's legal, accounting, and financial groups. And nevertheless, he signed these management representation letters. And this is his certifications that there are no unasserted claims, that all deficiencies have been disclosed. Relevant information regarding financial interest and contractual arrangements have been made available. And you're certifying this as part of your obligations as a CEO. There are no transactions that have not been properly recorded. There are no known actual or possible litigation and claims, and that they have not been disclosed and accounted for with the generally accepted accounting principles. And you're seeing this, guys. These are things the SEC is mandate you have to follow. And this was not following general accounting principles. No events have occurred after December 31st, but before February 2019 that would require a consideration as adjustments to the financial statements. No events occurred between December of 2021 and February 2022 to require an adjustment or an amendment to the financial statements. And it says, although Vince was obligated to pay all amounts owed, the payments should have been recognized. The WWE was a party to the agreements, evidenced by Vince signing on behalf of the company. That says, in addition, the WWE benefited from the agreements, receiving releases, avoiding reputational harm. And this is a big thing. The $7.5 million was probable and estimable and pertained to the year ended December 31st, 2018. And the $3 million was probable and estimable and pertained to the year ending December 31st, 2021. Therefore, the $7.5 million he was obligated to pay and the $3 million were WWE expenses that should have been recorded as such. But they weren't. Because these were not recorded, like I said, chat, their net income was overstated by 22%. And its annual net income by approximately 8%. And for the same thing, this was less important in 2021. It went up by 4.9 and 1.7%. Think about that, chat. A quarterly report is off by 22%. They point out all the 10Q forms filled out by the WWE and filed. Also misstated liabilities paid in capital accumulate deficits in those periods that failed to make related party disclosures. And it says because the chairman agreed to make the payments, the WWE is also required to disclose the transactions and payments when made as a related party under the general accounting principles. You have to do it. These generally accepted principles relate to transactions, including those that an entity and its owners, management, and members of their immediate families. Prevents people from stealing money and doing things like this, defrauding shareholders. And because nobody knew about it, the company could not record the agreements and expenses in the financial statements, and it didn't disclose them because Vince hid them. Because they were not recorded, their books and records were inaccurate. And that's a big fucking problem. Big ass problem. So this is where people can get in deep shit. I know, some of you guys are reading this like it doesn't sound bad. I'm like, this is not good. It's not good. And then the settlement agreements come to light. And these in April 2022, the board held a special meeting to discuss the allegations against Vince. During that meeting, Vince said it's all a lie. And the board investigated. And in June, they announced it was investigating the alleged conduct. In July 2022, Vince quit. In July of 2022, the WWE they filed a report with the SEC saying, "Oh my God, guys! Oh no, we found stuff." And they made a preliminary determination that approximately $14.6 million of unrecorded expenses paid or to be paid by Vince from 2006 to 2022 should have been recorded as expenses in the consolidated financial statements of the quarters those agreements were made.
Defeat board monsters below until you buy.
The unrecorded expenses relate to settlement agreements with 5 women, all of which released Vince and the WWE from their claims. The WWE concluded the expenses associated with the individual agreement should have been recorded in 2018 and 2021, respectively. So at that point, the WWE had to turn around and file an amended 10-K for the year ending December 31st, 2021, and restated its financial statements. And then from there, they had to file another amended 10-K in 2023. And they say during the 12-month period following the filings contained financial results the WWE is required to restate, Vince received incentive-based compensation and realized profits from the sale of WWE common stock. And this is where Vince could be in trouble for things. This is where you get in trouble for fucking manipulating company stock, chat. This is where you can get in a lot of trouble here. I was going to say, if you're in chat, show up, man. Yes, did Vince lie to the accountants? He hid it. He's not even lying. He hid it. He moved money around on his own. He basically had a slush fund and did this all on his own. So this is bad. This is bad. No man said, shouldn't it be the attorneys and accountants reporting this? Yeah, they did. This is when this report being filed with the SEC in July. That's the accountants and the attorneys like, we did an investigation and we're like, uh-oh, fuck, funny story. That guy didn't do his job. So, and that's a problem. Vince signed all this shit. And look at his chat from 2006 to 2022. If you guys out there are accountant people, you're probably puckering up your assholes right now I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. So remember, like these are not you know, it's very simple. It's very simple. So you can't do this shit. You can't do it. They said following this internal investigation, WWE required Vince to reimburse the company for 65 grand related to his incentive-based compensation. And that's the thing. He made money off the stock going up because they reported profits. The WWE did not claw back any profits from the stock sales during the periods. They probably wanted to keep it quiet. As a result, Vince violated Section 13B, which prohibits people from knowingly circumventing or knowingly failing to implement a system of internal accounting controls. As a result of the conduct described, Vince violated the Securities and Exchange Act, which prohibits officers directly or indirectly making or causing to be made false or misleading statements to an accountant in connection with an audit of their financial statements or the preparation or filing of any document required to be filed with the commission. As a result, he caused the WWE's violation of the Exchange Act, which requires issuers with a class of securities registered pursuant to Section 12 to make and keep books, records, and accounts, which accurately and fairly reflect their transactions and dispositions of assets. As a result, he violated the act because he indirectly falsified. And he directly did it because he's fucking signed off on everything, chat, with his slush funds. He caused the WWE to violate because they didn't provide accurate quarterly reports. And they have to provide information that's not misleading. And it was. So they had to go back and fix it. As a result, above, he violated Section 304 of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which requires CEOs or CFOs to prepare the accounting and reimburse the issuers for any bonus or other incentive-based equity received by that person if there's non-compliance. And he says that any profits realized are to be returned as well. And I say in the order of the foregoing, pursuant to this, they want Vince to cease and desist from committing or causing any violations. Well, that's done. Within 14 days of the entry, pay a civil monetary penalty in the amount of $400,000. And if not timely, they can pursue it. And he can pay it electronically to the commission, and he can wire it. He can make a direct payment from a bank account via pay.gov through the SEC website. He can do a certified check or a bank cashier's check or United States postal money order. Can you imagine Vince going down to the post office? Yes, I need a money order for $400,000. So, made payable to the SEC and hand delivered or mailed to the SEC. Payments by check or money order must be accompanied by a cover letter identifying Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Yes! As a respondent in these proceedings and file the number of these proceedings, a copy and cover letter of the check and money order must be sent to the New York Regional Office of the SEC. The amount paid shall be treated as penalties paid to the government for all purposes, including tax purposes. To preserve the deterrent effect of the civil penalty, Vince agrees that any related investor action he shall not argue is entitled to, nor shall he be benefited to the offset reduction of any award of compensatory damages by the amount that he's had to pay as a civil penalty. Meaning if any of the shareholders or investors sue him, he can't say, well, I've already lost $400,000, so whatever I owe, you have to take that off the top. He's refusing that. He's going to be on the hook for that if somebody comes after him. And if the court in any investor-related action grants such a penalty offset, Vince agrees that within 30 days, he shall notify the commission's counsel and pay the amount of the penalty offset to the SEC. Meaning, even if he gets that, he then has to turn around
and pay that money back to the SEC. So they're going to fucking rake him over the coals. They say such a payment shall not be deemed an additional civil penalty, meaning he's just going to have to fucking forfeit it. And shall not be deemed a change to the amount of civil action. So, and they talks about investor actions meaning a private damages action brought by any one or more investors based on the same facts instituted by the commission in this proceedings. They're going after him. They're going after him, chat. And within 14 days, he has to reimburse the WWE or its successor $1.3 million pursuant to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And he has to provide proof satisfying this reimbursement. Notice, chat, it's not like, oh, I'm giving you a year to pay it. It's like Tony Soprano. You got 14 days. I want my money.
That's crazy. That's crazy to owe anybody that kind of money.
There's no fucking around, chat. But oh, the owner's not going to stop, JR. He's going to get to the bottom of this financial malfeasance. Oh, no. Here it comes with the ledger. Oh, no. He just hit the chairman. Oh. Oh, there we go. There we go. Vince thinks he's untouchable since the steroid trial win. Yes. Yes. Oh, there we go. No! Oh. So how does the rest of this get here? So there's just a little bit more chat. We're going to move on from here. I just thought this was really important. If you guys have never read an SEC action, they are interesting. So it's further ordered that solely for the purposes set forth here in the bankruptcy code, for the purposes of exceptions to discharge. The findings of this order are true and admitted by respondent, and any further debt for disgorgement, prejudgment interest, civil penalty, other amounts due under this order, or any other judgment, order, consent order, decree, or settlement agreement entered in connection with this proceeding is a debt for the violation by respondent of federal securities law or any other regulation or order set forth in Section 523 of the Bankruptcy Code. Meaning he's not able to just go, oh, I'm bankrupt, I can't pay. Nope, can't do that. Solid Ethan Ralph voice, to be honest. Well, I'm just more of trying to... Yeah, never mind.
Talk to me every day, I'll give you more keys. I'll create track up to 3 days. So if you're gone for...
The WMD should do share buyback from the market with the 1.3 million. And it's not gonna...
For every character you make that makes it...
It's not gonna work like that. But there you go, guys. Vince is... So Vince gets a slap on the wrist. I mean...
You don't have to touch...
For right now, this is what they've decided. The SEC is not pursuing charges. But, like, Vince could have been fucked. They could have indicted Vince for this.
For more keys.
Vince could have got indicted. This is like... It's not it's Enron type shit. It's not Enron levels of shit. But this is Enron stuff. Sarbanes-Oxley, guys, if you don't remember, Sarbanes-Oxley was passed because of Enron. You remember Enron? They just collapsed in the 2001 time frame there. But this is he's fucking... He must have sucked some dick to not get indicted.
Stones back from Amarax to ship to dog.
But yeah, he ripped people off.
Token of his revenge. What?
So, yes. So that's something to think about, chat. He's very fucking lucky. They go after him for things, but here's the thing: he's still on the hook for other stuff. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there, chat. All right, moving on from there, chat. We are moving on to Adnan Syed. And if you guys remember, we've been covering this saga for him for a very, very long time. So Adnan Syed is a guy in Baltimore. He was convicted in 1999 of the murder of his girlfriend, Heyman Lee. And this is Adnan. And as you can see, his sentence got reduced to time served. But the timeline here is going to help you figure out what's going on. So Heyman Lee and Adnan Syed, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And in 1999, he was accused of killing her, and her body was found in a park in Baltimore. He was 17, and they put him on trial for murder. There was a mistrial in 1999. In 2000, he was found guilty of murder, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. It was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. In 2003, his conviction was confirmed, and then the Supreme Court of Maryland declined to hear the case, which is normal. In 2014, the podcast Serial debuted and started raising doubts about his case. And one of them said that a girl, Asia McClain, said she was with Saeed in the library at the time when his girlfriend was killed. It was also learned that Saeed's attorney knew about the potential alibi, but did not call Asia McClain to testify. And that attorney was later disbarred because of some competency issues. They also talk about from 2015 to 2019, there was a lot of back and forth, and a trial court granted him a new trial in 2016. After a series of appeals, the Maryland Court of Appeals denied the trial and reinstated the conviction. In March of later, the Supreme Court denied to review the decision by Maryland's top court. In March of 2022, there was new DNA testing because of genetic profiling. And then in September, the prosecutors filed a motion to vacate. They filed a motion to vacate. And they said it uncovered involvement of 2 alternative suspects. The motion also admits the case is ruled largely in circumstantial evidence. That said, Chad, you don't have to like the circumstantial evidence, but that's enough to sustain a conviction. So that alone is not probably proper grounds to have something reinvestigated. But they also say they lack confidence in the integrity of the conviction. And in 2022, a judge vacated the conviction. They said there were DNA test results that led the prosecutors to want to drop the charges in 2022. In March, the Maryland appellate courts reinstated his conviction, stating that Heyman Lee's family did not have the opportunity to be properly heard at the hearing to vacate his sentence. Now, chat, you're saying, well, what do you mean? Literally, his family showed up and said, we have a right to be heard. And they weren't heard properly. So it's victims' rights nonsense, which you have some rights as a victim, but the idea you're going to overturn shit because you didn't get your say, like, yeah, that's a bit much. It's victims' rights run amok. A year to the day when it was vacated, he held a news conference wanting people to do this, and he says, I'm innocent, Oz didn't do it. Well, who knows? Anyways, the Maryland Supreme Court scrutinized the hearing, and they said that because they weren't allowed to participate, it had to get sent back. So they sent it back. And then in August this past year, they held a hearing. And the court decided that they were going to take care of this and they were going to vacate it. While the Supreme Court upheld the reinstatement of the conviction for a new hearing, it made no changes to his release. So it went back up. And the Maryland Supreme Court said, well, you're still guilty of murder, but we're not sending you back to prison. In February 2025, a new state's attorney took over, and he withdrew the motion to vacate because he says apparently there wasn't as bad as we thought. And on the eve of that, and we covered this a couple weeks ago, and the next day, a judge heard hours of testimony last week regarding the state's Juvenile Restoration Act. And the way this works, and we talked about this last week with the Menendez brothers, and he pointed out, not every state does this, but Maryland does it along with California. If you were sentenced as a juvenile to a life sentence, you are allowed to have your sentence reassessed because we don't want to put kids in jail forever. Although he's 17 at the time. So depending on the state, he could have been an adult. Like Michigan, he would have been an adult. In other states, he could have been an adult. So what happened from here? Well, the court issued its ruling today. And this is it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. We're gonna kind of breeze through it. Because there's some Maryland state law thing I'm not really too worried about here with you guys. But we are going to take a look at this. So, State of Maryland versus Adnan Syed in the circuit court for Baltimore City. Baltimore has its own circuit courts. They have its own things. Bodymore Murderland is pretty busy, chat, so that's why. But notice, this is a trial court giving his opinion. And they say, pursuant to the Juvenile Restoration Act, on January 12th, the state filed a response recommending the court grant the motion for reducing his sentence. On February 26th, court held a hearing. And upon this, it grants the motion. Now, they go through the factual history, and we kind of just blew through that all because there's not a whole lot there. The procedural history. We're not really worried about that. We've really gone through all the issues of procedural history, things that happened here. Now, we're just going to skip ahead here. The JRA allows an adult who was convicted when he was a minor and who was sentenced before October 1st, 2021, who's been in prison for at least 20 years, to move to reduce the duration. They said under the theory, juveniles have diminished capacity and are likely to have been rehabilitated during their incarceration, and thus the public interest is served by their release. So the court has to determine a couple of things to do this. That he's not a danger to the public, and the interest of justice will be better served by a reduced sentence. So the court must consider 11 enumerated factors. 11 factors, chat. There's a lot of factors. So his age at the time. He was 17 years old and 7 months. By virtue of being under the age of 18, is eligible. Even though he had almost reached adulthood. Them's the breaks. The court says it's not always mitigating. Because he had almost reached his age of 18, this is against him. The nature of the offense and the history of the individual. The nature of the offense, well, first-degree murder, kidnapping, robbery, and false imprisonment. Those are bad.
Okay.
And it says, although he acknowledges the impact, he says he hasn't done it, but this is a very heinous crime, so it weighs against him. His history. He had 2 parents and a loving home. He was a high-achieving student. He had a thriving social life. He was on pre-engineering, and he had been accepted to college already. He had held several part-time jobs. And though there were no reports of academic or behavioral issues, he had no contact with the criminal justice system. So that's a factor in favor. Whether he has substantially complied with the rules of prison. Yet he's been there for 23 years. He's maintained an outstanding record. He had 2 infractions, neither were violent.
Collect.
He's received multiple awards for his achievement.
And
3 or more years free of infractions. That's the thing you get, basically like a good conduct medal if you guys have been in the military. He's free of infractions from 2009 till his release in 2022. He substantially complied with all relevant rules, knowing he's complied with the rules. He's so compliant that he was recommended for lower security, but it's precluded because of his life sentence. Overall, it's been heavily in favor. And that's the thing, chat. A lot of guys have problems. They get a lot of tickets. They get fights. They get contraband. They got drugs. They're in a gang. They're in the security threat group. All that shit that happened in Shot Caller. That's stuff that happens that could fuck you over. And T from Laos, we're going to get to that in a second. Those are bad. Yes.
Clip the Emirates Club.
Those are bad. I hope somebody clipped that. So whether he's completed educational programming, he took full advantage of his programs. He completed 35 programs ranging from stress management to a legal assistant paralegal program. He had a 99% GPA. He was later admitted to Georgetown's University Bachelor of Liberal Arts program. He participated in volunteer and fundraising work. He received excellent performance reviews from corrections officers overseeing his work assignments. That's a heavily thing. Like, we want people to show they're doing the right things. He has demonstrated maturity, rehabilitation, and fitness to re-enter society. He's in a unique position because following the September 22 thing, he was on release from incarceration. And they point out that he has succeeded in the 2.5 years since his release. He's been out. Like, this is the one thing that is unique. He's already been out. He's basically had a trial run. If he had fucked this up, the court probably would have said no automatically. But he re-entered society. He's lived at home in his wife's family's house. He since been married. He has taken care of his elderly parents and in-laws. And after his father's death, he helped his mom navigate through his dad's affairs. Additionally, he's been active in his mosque. He regularly attends services and volunteers. And he counsels members supporting formerly incarcerated individuals. He's maintained stable employment at Georgetown University's Prisons and Justice Initiative, a program he was involved in. On this point, he's been his professors testified he's a trusted and valued employee. His fitness and maturity are there. And in the 2.5 years he's been out, demonstrate the maturity and fitness. He's demonstrated he can live in society. And an honest application of these factors prompt the court to acknowledge the rehabilitation component complicates the court's analysis. As Heyman's family response indicates, the first step on the road to rehabilitation is accepting responsibility. And they say because the defendant maintains that his innocence, he arguably does not demonstrate the rehabilitation. And that's true, but he's allowed to maintain his innocence here. And that this weighs heavily in favor. Any statement offered by the victims, well, obviously they don't want him out. And Heyman's brother and mother made statements. The family views the innocence claim as a lack of remorse and a failure to take responsibility. And they want to consider negatively. And it says the court can't fathom their anguish. Their suffering has continued over the last 25 years, starting when Hay was missing for almost a month. And her body was found in a shallow grave in Lincoln Park. And then through a mistrial and a retrial. And even after the trial judge sentenced the defendant, the family's endured over 20 years of appeals, post-conviction petitions, vacator hearings, and now the JRA hearing. Each time, it's tearing out old wounds, and it probably is hurting them. And as if the legal wrangling wasn't difficult enough, the overwhelming public interest has been inescapable. His family suffers for murder not only in court, but in the court of public opinion. Us talking about it, if they heard about it, would probably cause them grief. Certainly, and it would make sense. Heyman was the heart of their family with a bright future. This weighs against granting relief. Any report of physical or mental examinations, he was examined 3 times. Though there wasn't a PSI in 2000, he's had 3 examinations in 2016 and 2 in 21. They noted his limited record and perfect work attendance. They said he had adjusted to incarceration and that he remained drug-free throughout his incarceration and had no infractions. You're like, how do they know if he does drugs? They drug test you in prison at times. They can drug test you. And prior to incarceration, he noted that he smoked weed a lot. He doesn't have any known behavioral or mental health issues. So, the report emphasized that his rule-breaking behavior as a juvenile before the murder never amounted to anything serious enough to warrant the juvenile justice system. He hasn't used any drugs and didn't occur any violent incidents. And at the time of the report, he doesn't suffer from any illness or personality disorder. That's in a favor. They talk about his family and community circumstances at the time of the offense. Does he have a history of trauma, abuse, or involvement in the child welfare system? Nope, he had a pretty good life. He had a normal childhood. Well, that's the thing there. He's never had any physical or sexual abuse or well as trauma. And the court saying, despite all this, he committed these terrible crimes despite these advantages. That weighs against him. It's not listed, but it should say that. On the extent of his role in the offense and whether the extent an adult was involved in the offense. He's the principal actor. Jay Wilds, the only other participant, was far less culpable than the defendant, as he didn't participate in the murder. The defendant was the mastermind and perpetrator of the murder, thus this factor weighs against him. And we're almost there, Chad. It says the diminished capacity. Well, here's the problem. He's almost 18. He did so with a brain that was not fully formed, though. And they say recognizing developments in psychology say that there's fundamental differences between juvenile and adult minds. And they say for men, our brains don't form until we're 25. But that's an issue of you still didn't know, you know you can't fucking kill people. And you can't bury them in a fucking grave somewhere. You're not allowed to do that, chat. You're not allowed to do that. So. Okay, guys, I'm going to get some of those comments in a second here. This factor weighs heavily in his favor, and any other relevant factors. The court understands that this is a catch-all category where the court can do what it needs to. In any sentencing, a court must consider theories of punishment and deterrence, both general, specific, and rehabilitation. And chat, if you guys ever go to court, you may hear this as the purposes and principles of sentencing. It covers theories of punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation. Because we want to keep the community safe, deter future conduct, punish the offender, but we also want to help rehabilitate the offender. So the crimes call for significant punishment. He spent more than 23 years in prison. While his punishment is significant, if punishment were the sole consideration, they would have sent him right back to prison. I'd say, fuck it. The theory of deterrence, however, calls for reduction. The court is confident he'll no longer is a danger to public safety. General deterrence requires the public to believe the justice system will hold people accountable for their actions, but it also requires the public to have faith in the system that is even-handed and fair. Ordering a return to prison after a significant period of success in lawful conduct and freedom will not accomplish deterrence. And that's true. Because if you send him back after 2.5 years of following the law, everybody in prison is going to say, fuck it, you put me on parole, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. And it says, finally, while rehabilitation discussed is complicated, the court believes the defendant has proven through his history that he's fit to live in society. And I think that's fair. The court finds that returning to prison would be unproductive and unfair. Therefore, it weighs in granting relief. So, the first 10 are evenly split. And as the final factor is persuaded this court to grant relief. So it was 5-5. He didn't clearly win here, chat. He got a dub. But this was close. And all the court must consider and apply the factors, these factors have formed the determination whether the individual is not a danger to the public in the interest of justice. And after considering the record, he will be better served by a reduced sentence. Therefore, it's modified. As to count 1, the sentence of the court will be life to the Division of Correction with all but time served suspended. The sentence will be followed by a period of 5 years of supervised probation. As to count 1 kidnapping, it's 30 years consecutive suspended, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. As to count 1 robbery, the sentence of 10 years concurrent will remain unchanged because he's already done that. But he has 30 years consecutive has been suspended. So he's not out of the woods, Chad, if he fucks up. Yeah. Court will hold a brief hearing by Zoom for imposition of the sentence at a time convenient to all parties within 2 weeks of the opinion. So that's the thing. He's got like 30 years, chat, on the shelf. 30 years. If he fucks up, he's going away. So, yeah, that's interesting. He's mostly peaceful now. So, there you go. Oh, there you go, chat. Meme Copium says, and how you doing, buddy? Friend of the show, Meme Copium. The drunk dino hunter himself says it's fun to learn that Diddy is partying with SBF in jail. Yes. And if you're going live tomorrow morning, I will make sure I wake up and hang out with you. We'll have some fun. How about that? It's like 7 a.m. Because normally I wake up like 7:30 and he's already doing stuff or something like that. You wake up at 7, he's already going, but I'm like, yeah. So I'll try to wake up early tomorrow. And we'll do that. We'll hang out, have some fun. So, chat, we're gonna get to some comments here. We're going to take care of these real quick. But first, we've got our sponsors to get to. Chat. And first, we got the dragonstreasure.com, a haven for tea and anime lovers. Use the promo code CRIMINAL, and you get 10% off your tea, your soap, and your coffee. Not your anime, though. There's nothing you can do about that. You're going to have to go whack it to your hentai and manga some other way, chat. But use the promo code CRIMINAL, and you get 10% off your other sundries. We have MAF Corporation, MAF-arms.com, your premier wind chime supplier in Southern Florida, chat. You guys know him as Fudbusters. You know him and love him. Currently in his battle with Cody Wilson, the Chode master himself, and also the guy's predilection for young girls, underage girls, in fact. So, fuck Cody Wilson, fuck his copyright infringement. And chat, use the promo code POCCRIM to get 10% off your orders for wind chimes at mafcorporation.com. And let's just check. I got to see what else they got going on tonight. Do they have anything else? They have they have deals still, chat. They have deals right now. Spooky Rails in the return. So they've got stuff out here, chat. These are a bunch of parts drops. They are selling their own rails now, chat. They are getting ready to do it. They got G17 and G19 combos. It's actually a pretty good combo. It's basically everything you need down below in a G19 or G17 frame for $49.95. Some good stuff out there. They got sunshine rails everywhere. They got all that good. They just don't have the locking block. But you can get the locking block for pretty cheap there, too. So, chat, that's at maf-arms.com. Use the promo code POCCRIM for 10% off. And then finally, chat, last but not least, you have Stoney's Bar and Grill. That's right, chat. Stoney's at 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. Stoney's is your place to go. Remember, guys, they're still on the winter hours. So tomorrow, Friday, they open at noon. So if you really need to get your drink on, you're going to have to wait a little bit. But it's Stoney's, chat. It's home of the $2.50 cans every Thursday. Thanks, Biden, for the inflation. And it's Thursday night, chat, so you can get there. They're open till midnight. Right now, it's just after 10 o'clock. Fire up the bike. Get out there and have some fun at Stoney's. Chat, they have not said what they're doing this weekend for stuff right now, but they will have some entertainment going. I'm a little disappointed in Cheeto. If you're out there, man, you haven't set stuff up so we could take a look and get you people out there. But hey, make it out to Stoney's, chat, celebrating 30 years as Minnesota's premier biker bar. All right, so we got to get a couple of, let's see here. What else we got? Buy used body pillows at Stoney's, yes. James Hurley says we need to hit the goal for Aaron. Yes, well, I'd rather you hit the goal for me. But please. Michael Stett says if Vince's last name is Biden, he'd have been in the clear. Probably. Jefferson Post says, I'll give you a report as Vince squats on the desk. RS Legacy's been a member for 11 months, has caught an ag assault with a deadly weapon. You did? Holy shit, man. If you have any questions, let me know. See if I can help you. Let's go. Brandon says, pity chat. Clyde shouldn't starve just because you're a failure. Thanks, Brandon. Schnauzer Patrol for 499 says Clyde rules. Of course he does. Clyde's a goodest boy. And Afton Forward says Clyde. Yes, we had a good Clyde sighting earlier. I don't know if he's going to be back here. Old Line Red says, I'm just relieved that Vince can now come to DC and help Linda run the Department of Education. Oh, he can help Elon just go, you're fired. That would actually be pretty cool to get fired by Vince McMahon. Oh. Brandon says the 10Q forms are expressly labeled as not audited. I don't know if that fucks them more or less. It's not as bad, but it's still not good. Ryobi Powered Vibe says, you're a mark, Sean. It's a work. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Joke's on me, I guess. Yeah, Brandon saying Vince is fucked if they prosecute him. Very fucked. Yeah, I don't think they will at this point. Patty says, could Trump pardon Vince McMahon? Yes, he could. He could pardon him for any federal crimes.
See, it's not giving me.
So, Kid Pack says, holy shit, I remember hearing about Adnan Saeed. T from Laos says he's still a felon. Yes, he's still convicted of murder. He just, his sentence is over for right now, except for the 30 years hanging over his head. So he's got 5 years of probation. And then he'll be free and clear of the sentence, but he'll still be a felon. He's still a murderer. Edward says they really take work attendance thing seriously. Guys, this is a big thing. When you are facing a pre-sentence investigation report, all this shit is critical. This is an idea of the court trying to figure out, what do we do with people? If you're in prison, if you're following everything, doing everything right, it encourages them to want to release you. If you do all this stuff right in your current life, it encourages the court, maybe I'll give you probation instead. Like, these things really do happen. T. Falau says he didn't open a small firm in Minnesota. Oh. Stabby says, suffer, family, suffer. Edward says, see kids commit murders and you too could get married in prison. Yes. Mavka says he married the cereal lady. Really? I did not know that. Brandon says, so you can make it to the waterfront then. Still doesn't get Baltimore on the world's safest place to live list. Yeah, so that's a Marlowe reference, I think. Marlowe Stansfield. Old Line Ren says, considering it's Maryland, he barely has any 2A rights anyway. Very true. Very true. For now, until the Supreme Court takes care of it. Debbie O gifted 5 subs tonight, chat. 5, chat. She's showing up. Debbie is showing up right there, chat. Are you doing your part? She's doing her part. She's like, I don't want these grays here. They fucking sicketate me. Your grayness sicketates me, to quote the great Louis Farrakhan. Your whiteness sicketates me. She's doing her part to get you out of here. She's like, just run these tools. Run them out. Debbie, thank you for your support and your generosity. We appreciate it. Summonable Trap says, I get a lawyer, Daikimura. Well, I'm sure he's thrilled that women want those. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Oh. Been there, done that says, I think Adnan did it. I think so. It could have easily be. And Chad, I do want to bring up, if you are a new member, we try to do weekly a members only show. We didn't get to have one last night. We will do one over the weekend here. I'll try to give it ahead of time. Really, it's cool. We get to hang out. We can talk about things, watch body cams, funny stuff. It's just stuff we don't normally get to during the show. And you're like, but you ramble a lot anyway. I'm like, I know, but it's solely like you kind of get to direct it, and we kind of get to have a lot of fun. It's really neat. It's a very fun time. Record Steve says, don't forget to bring your steam engines to Stoney's for Foamers Night. Featuring me. Well, it's better than the Gay Twister Night. I'm just saying. It's better than Naked Twister, chat, let me tell you. But yes, chat, we're going to set up on Stoney's. We're going to use the patio. Cheeto's going to let me put our train sets out there. And we're going to run all kinds of scale train out there, chat. Just you watch. We're going to be with train for days. Train for days.
Damn.
Did I cover Amaranth yet? No, we're going to hold off on that for a second, chat. We got some more to get through first. We got to knock some stuff out here. So hold on. As much as I want to do that right now, we gotta move on. There's some funny stuff here. Now we're gonna move on to Illinois, the great state of Illinois.
Trying to decide here.
The great state of Illinois. You may know it as Illinois.
Your defense goes down.
A couple years ago on the 4th of July in Highland Park, Illinois, there was a shooting on the 4th of July parade. And a guy climbed up on a roof and said, "I love a parade." Took an AR-15 and just started going, bah, 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 and dropped a shitload of people. His name is Robert Crimo. And he was set to go to trial this week until he pled. So this was an interesting thing that happened. And, him pleading isn't really an issue here. But he pled guilty to 69 counts of murder and attempted murder. He killed 7 people and wounded nearly 50. Now, it's funny because this guy, it's from Chicago. It's Chicago News. And he looks like Jesse Smollett a little bit. And I'm like, wow, that's a little weird there. The police surprised everybody because they thought they were going to trial. So this guy, Crimo shows up. And he's like, I'm just pleading out. Everybody was ready for trial, except for him. So we're just going to watch a little bit so you guys can kind of see what's going on there.
Our Shaquille Brewster is at the courthouse. Shaq, this was quite the reversal.
That's right, Lester. Robert Crimo III pleading guilty to 69 counts of murder and attempted murder in that courtroom.
And this is, guys, if you haven't seen him before, this is him. He's just a complete tool bag. Now, I thought when he got shot, he had gotten paralyzed, but apparently it's a miracle. He can walk now. He can walk now, chat. Oh. So, Crimo did music videos. Yeah, he was kind of like a white goober rapper. Tim Pool says, "Whoa, the cool guy of the week." Oh, no, chat.
I don't know what AFK is.
Well, anyway, so he did enter a plea. And he waived his right to trial. So he's basically entering what's called an open plea in Illinois. Basically, he's going away forever. He's getting life without parole. He's never coming home. As they say in prison, he's doing all day and all night out. He's probably going to be in protective housing. So he's going to do all day and all night out back. He ain't never coming home. Now, the best part about this is, as he did this, they were ready to go. And the trial ended almost as quickly as it began on Monday when he surprised the courtroom. Like, everybody was surprised. And the judge says, did you talk to your attorneys? And he's like, yep. And he has done this. And he kind of surprised everybody. His face tattooed with the numbers 47. Yeah. And then earlier, as this was going on, his mom called out to the bench after one of her son's lawyers announced the plea, and she said, "There's a court order on this, and we're going to get to his mom because she wackadoodled really bad." The judge told her to shut the fuck up, and she did. And the prosecutor says this was not a negotiation. This was not a deal. He basically pled to the indictment, which you always have the right to do. You have the right to walk in and plea out to all the charges. They can't stop you from doing that. And we saw, for example, like in Florida for the Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland shooter, he pled out to everything, and they still had the death penalty phase. Illinois doesn't have the death penalty, though. But as the prosecutor said, he made a free decision to plead guilty every single count. And they said he received nothing in exchange for this plea. We were 1,000% ready to go. And the prosecutor said, we learned about it this morning. So, a lot of people are there who are relieved. Yes, somebody who was at the parade and escaped unharmed. She's an anti-gun activist. Fuck her. So anyways, jury selection was underway, and there was no sign he was going to plea. That said, his defense attorneys, who were the public defenders, everybody was taking turns questioning the jurors. Like, nobody knew this was going to happen. He presumably over the weekend, he kind of made a decision. Like, he decided, like, I'm tapping out. He's like, tap out. He's like, I don't want to do this no more. So before, and they say, though, before the first juror was seated, the prosecutors dismissed 48 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. Now, what happened at the plea hearing? When he waived his right to a trial, he signed his name as Donald Trump. Oh, my God. Oh no. Now you can sign your name as whatever you want. He said that's his mark now. Joe Schmo is saying Cremo's haircut first matched his tattoos. Yeah. Did he ever admit to a motive? I don't think so. And Mofuck says, "Hail faggots! Wait, is Ivan coming too?" Oh. So anyways, yes, he signed the name Donald Trump when he waived his right to trial. The court documents show. I couldn't find a copy of the document, but he waived his right to a jury. He signed the name Donald Trump on the defendant line, which if they accepted it as a decision, that's it. Now, the best part of this was his mom, and his mom showed up. And chat, I think you guys need to get ready for this. Here you go. This is Kino. This is Kino. Here you go.
Okay, here comes Cremo's dad.
This is his dad, and he's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here."
This might be his own attorney. And here comes mom.
George, are you thinking? There's no comment at this moment. I have a comment.
Would you like to, if you could?
Oh no, I have a comment. Oh no, like, do you really have a comment right now? It's like, it's like, do you really have a comment right now? I guess she does, chat. What does she got to tell us? I'm sure it's going to be impressive. I'm sure it's going to be something we want to hear. Uh-oh. Yes, imagine, chat, this is your mom. What is she going to say? My baby didn't do nothing? I don't know.
Come over here.
Just a court received notice that this case is being removed to federal court. And again, they received notice this morning. Judge Rossetti received notice that this case is being removed to federal court. And now.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This case is being removed to federal court. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that phrase, that is a common thing sovereign citizens do. Yes. Mom, no! Don't be a sovereign citizen! Oh, no! But yes, mom's a sovereign citizen. Here we go.
That's why I said something in court. 52 immigrants related to the Sinaloa cartel are receiving.
Oh, no! The cartel's involved? Oh, no! What happened? Donald Trump, save us! The cartels did this, chat. Oh, no.
Related to the Sinaloa cartel are receiving U visas. And this is a government issue. I said you received notice that this.
Yeah, right on. The goddamn cartels are getting visas.
All right, well, I think we're going to end the stream for now. There really isn't anything that I'm interested in playing. All right, bye.
Uh-oh. Oh no, chat.
Case cannot adjudicate.